unfortunately that this spill did happen, but it has refocused the country's attention, you could say, I guess, on these issue of train derailments, the issues of the railroads, many of the things that the railroad workers were trying to point us to during their contract struggle at the end of 2022. And we are very happy to be joined as we continue the conversation by Matt Weaver, who's the BMWED IBT Ohio Legislative Director and the Rail Workers United ISC member, or a Rail Workers United ISC member. Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys? I really appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us, and we're doing well. And of course, now in Van Buren Township outside of Detroit, there's been another derailment of a train that was carrying chemicals. It looks, thankfully, that there may not be a spill yet. But I guess my first question for you, Matt, is, I mean, should we have seen these things coming? Because I think a lot of times these are presented as just freak accidents.
I believe that many of the rail labor groups have announced concerns like this on deferred maintenance, on lack of manpower, on poor resting times for our train crews, things like that. Railroad Workers United, railroadworkersunited.org, has been talking about this for months. It's a shame to watch, kind of like Band-Aid on a broken leg maintenance. And in this specific one in Ohio, you can't speculate on the exact cause till the NTSB report comes out, but our car inspectors, the machinists and BRC, Brotherhood of Railway Carmen, have been mandated to reduce inspection times. Used to be 2 guys working 4 or 5 minutes to inspect each car. Those numbers are down to 90 seconds, sometimes less than a minute, that they're mandating that we are the rail workers are inspecting cars that much quicker, and it gives a lot of opportunity to miss things such as a hot journal, a worn bearing, air hoses, brake hoses, that kind of stuff. Mm.
And so when we talk about what's happened now, I mean, it obviously residents are being told everything's fine. Is everything fine?
I would prefer that they do some independent testing instead of something coming from the carrier. You can often pay for the results you want. You know how that game is played. I would think they should err on the side of safety. I know that, even the administration in DC offered help, and Governor DeWine declined that. He said he didn't call back for that. I don't understand that, because I see people all the time saying, well, what's Biden doing about it? Well, he offered, and he was declined by the governor.
Mm. And, I guess one of the things that is just so notable to me is it's not only that, and I'm glad you gave the context of the cutbacks, but I mean, it really seems that it's not because somehow these companies are strapped for cash. I mean, it feels that these railroad companies are some of the biggest, most profitable companies out there. Is that right?
Record profits. There is no other industry that has profit margins that are, creeping up. They're shooting for operating ratios of 55. Fast food has operating ratios of 85, 90. So the shareholders are getting, that much more money. It's a very wealthy industry. And as you can see in the video you're showing right now, trains don't run through wealthy people's backyards. That's working class families and neighborhoods that are suffering through this.
I want to ask about accountability, because in the aftermath of this, I saw that there was a meeting where the rail firm actually pulled out of. It was a meeting with residents. So is there any accountability here at all? Like, are there officials at least advocating, local officials? Are there any local officials advocating for the community that's been affected by this? Let alone for the workers who probably are who have been work on the trains and deal with this on a regular basis?
I've seen some comments from local officials who are trying to get answers and help their constituents. I've been a bit disappointed with the Department of Transportation. Pete Buttigieg has seemed to be slow off the starting blocks on this, and I really had my hopes up when he was appointed. I think we need our regulators to regulate. We need our public servants to serve the public, and let's make society better for the working class in America, because times are tough for the workers.
And I wonder if, and I know this conversation has also been certainly something Rail Workers United has really, I think, put in front of the country quite well, since the contract fight. I mean, the very issue of the ownership of the railroads. I mean, I think that the United States is actually now leading, I don't know, someone told me they're leading the world. There's a large number of train derailments, it seems, on a regular basis. And I mean, is this sort of private ownership model itself part of the problem?
That is an interesting aspect, and there are very good arguments about nationalizing the railroads. I would prefer to see good regulation first, but how can you trust a private industry that is touting record profits and dividends? How can you trust them to self-regulate? That's not possible. Those ideas of self-regulation of a for-profit industry is pie in the sky thoughts. It's not realistic.
So, okay, that's one thing, nationalizing the rails, but what could have prevented this specific incident? What kind of safety protocols that aren't in place could have prevented this?
I would venture to say that a more thorough inspection of the car may have helped. Hot box detectors more often on the tracks as the trains go by. They can discover if there's been a hot journal. This train, from what I hear, has gone over 20 miles with flames or with sparks coming out of the journal or the bearing before it derailed. So that's a lot of time where you have the opportunity to stop the train. And like you guys had said before, there was better regulation that kind of got gutted during the Obama administration, but then it was completely eliminated during the Trump administration. So they're making plenty of money. Let's do better.
Mm. Well, and I wonder, from the perspective, just of the rights of workers. I mean, I've been thinking about the Railway Labor Act. And of course, as I mentioned before, and as you mentioned, I mean, rail workers were really ringing the alarm bell on this, saying we have big issues with staffing and safety. And it just makes me wonder if, another problem here is the fact that we've by basically making it very, very difficult for workers to strike. It's almost like we've made it more difficult to address the issues because workers aren't able to use their own labor power to say, well, hold on, we got to put a stop to this thing until we get this fixed.
Especially in this round of bargaining, that's exactly what happened. During the STB hearings, the shippers were kind of on our side saying, hey, hire more people, get the trains to us, haul our goods away, that kind of stuff. And then towards the end of bargaining, the shippers turned on us and asked Congress to impose the contract. That's not the voice of the people. I mean, we need to have public servants serving the constituents. We need to have regulation that serves society. The idea that the railroad spends so much money lobbying politicians. They have, I testified for the Ohio House Transportation Committee about crossing safety and two-man crew bills, and there were lobbyists in the back room just listening into what I had to say. There's a lot of power in the railroad. I mean, in 1900, there were 132 Class 1 railroads. Now there's 7, perhaps a merger to make it 6. We're looking at the monopoly board. There were 4 railroads on the monopoly board, and they have a lot of power. I asked you guys not to use my employer's name just because of fear of retaliation.
I wanted to ask you something about, Pete Buttigieg, who's obviously transportation secretary, he gave this interview where he tried to kind of shift some of the blame onto Donald Trump. I think he actually even tweeted about it. Basically, there's some ruling that was overturned by the Trump administration back in 2018 or withdrawn by the Trump administration back in 2018, requiring trains carrying certain dangerous chemicals to use these electronically controlled brakes. And he was saying that this was partly the result of that. One, is there any truth to that? And 2, is there a difference in the way these two parties deal with these issues, or is it kind of a bipartisan situation where both parties seem to be captured by these very powerful companies?
from what I read, it is true that they did studies, and there was an agenda or pressure to show that the cost effectiveness of this braking system, it wasn't worth the return on investment. They're looking for ROI, and it wasn't. It's there's still debate on if the electronic brakes would have hampered or slowed the train quicker or better or more evenly. But let's study that. Let's investigate that stuff. And I do see a difference in the parties, but I am a little frustrated with having to vote for what seems to be the lesser of two evils every 2 or 4 years.
Understandable. And then I wanted to also ask you, the photos of this are horrifying. The images of this are horrifying. The aftermath is horrifying. But this isn't the only derailment. Eugene mentioned before we started this interview that there was another derailment that happened in just the last few hours, I believe, in Michigan, just outside of Detroit. And I saw that there's been over like 1,000 derailments. I think that was the number over a certain time period. That's kind of a shocking number. Obviously, not every derailment is this catastrophic. But all that being said, is this unique what happened, or is this something we should see as like a warning of what could also continue to happen? Like, how concerned should we be about the potential for more derailments like this?
Derailments in yards are a bit more common in the yard, in the switching yards, on the switching leads, that kind of thing. This one has really grabbed the media's attention. Like I said, I appreciate your guys' attention. But don't get me wrong, we don't want these chemicals on the highways. That would be much worse. Accidents on the highways are far more often. Rail is definitely the safest way to move these chemicals across the country. I've had friends who say, "Oh, it should be a pipeline." Well, you can't have a different pipeline for every single chemical across the world. You can't have a grid of pipelines for vinyl chloride. You can't have a grid of pipelines for petroleum. That's just not realistic. Pipelines are not the answer in the circumstance. Safer transportation is.
Well, let me also just ask you this, because I think that's a very good point. Where can people find out more about what you all are doing at Rail Workers United or anywhere else that seems relevant? Because I think a lot of folks, of course, were, very positively inclined towards what was happening during the contract period, and seeing this now are thinking we have to do more to get behind rail workers.
There was an additional press release from railroadworkersunited.org today. It had 4 or 5 articles. I even got some time on the Jon Stewart show yesterday.
Nice.
And they've done well. We have a media committee of 16 or 18 people, and of various crafts. So somebody talks about a machinist or a carman or an engineer conductor. Somebody can go there, send any of us an email, go on Facebook and find it, and we will get the right person together. Just like you said earlier, it's not good business to speculate on these things. So the finger pointing will always begin, but let's leave it in the hands of the NTSB for now. And let's ask Norfolk Southern to step up and do right by the citizens of this town who are dealing with this.
No, 100%. Matt Weaver, BMW ED IBT Ohio Legislative Director and a member of the ISC at Railroad Workers United. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Freedom Side.
Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
No, you too. It's our pleasure. Obviously, the story that I think really captivated America over the Thanksgiving holiday season was the railroad workers trying to just get some basic respect and rights for themselves, and having the political system step in the way of that. And we are very honored to be joined here as we continue the show by Reese Murtaugh, who is a roadway mechanic and a member of Machinists Local 696, with us from Richmond, Virginia. Reese, thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be here. How y'all doing?
We're doing well. We can't complain. Just pushing forward, as they say. One of the things I wanted to start with asking you here, Reese, obviously, I think a lot of people, there's the politics of it, which became a big issue, and sick days, of course, which a lot of people heard about. But I know it goes a lot deeper than that in terms of what you all are really faced with in terms of the job. So I was hoping you could just talk a little bit more, even just beyond the sick days issue, not that it's not important, but of what railroad workers really have to face day in and day out.
So around 2017, we saw something called precision scheduled railroading show up. And this is just a cute little name for when a hedge fund takes over and how they basically decimated the railroads and turned us into a skeleton crew. So we have lost about half our membership in District Lodge 19. We primarily work on locomotives and heavy equipment. CSX was ground zero for the PSR railroading model. Hunter Harrison showed up and just tore it to pieces. So what's going on now is the members that have stuck around, the brave souls that are still with us, they are now having to work forced overtime. So, and it's just an insult because these members that work in our locomotive shops saw all their union brothers get run off by a hedge fund. Now they're forced to work, they come in for an 8-hour shift and they got 4 extra hours to work, and they're told sometimes when they're in the parking lot, trying to go home. And if they don't stay and work, it counts against them. And they have these ridiculous attendance policies where they start accruing attendance points. And now you have a disciplinary action because you're just trying to work an 8-hour shift. So there's some issues on the railroads in North America.
And of course, what we saw in Congress was them push through this bill that didn't include paid sick leave. And, the media is reporting this is going to cause another exodus. I mean, you're already saying that you've lost all these railroad workers. This is going to cause another exodus of workers. Can you talk a little bit about, because I don't think people understand how much is transported across the United States using railroads. It's not just, it's not just people trying to get on the Amtrak to go from DC to New York or Philadelphia or whatever. It's also food and fuel. Can you talk a little bit about how important the railroads are across America in terms of actually making the country function?
Yeah, so I traveled from Southern Florida to the Canadian border from 2018 to 2021. I was a system production traveling mechanic. So I saw big plants where they would fill train cars full of natural gas. We haul chlorine for, municipal water supplies. You name it, it is on the rails.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go, please.
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of what was being asked for, there was obviously a strike was being threatened. In terms of what was being asked for, what is it that was being asked for? Because it wasn't much.
Are you talking about the sick days here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just kind of break down how we got here, because there's a little bit of confusion. So anyway, back in July, we had the PEB board, which is what Biden appointed. And that's where basically the union and the carriers kind of come in and argue, right? So the union went in asking for 15 sick days. They met, they argued. The tentative agreement came out. It included 0 sick days. So then we saw 9 unions hold on to, basically go out to the last minute, right? They ran the clock down. We saw Marty Walsh and Biden, try to make the miracle deal they made. And the miracle deal that Biden and Walsh made included 3 unpaid sick days, but only on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and he had to schedule them 30 days in advance. So that was the improved tentative agreement, and that's actually what got forced on all Class 1 North American railroad workers. So then all kinds of kicking the can down the road, let's cool off for 30 days. Let's cool off for 45 more days, right? So much shenanigans and cooling off, right? Then we got to the statement from Biden. I believe it was November 28th. He says, I am calling on Congress to pass legislation immediately to adopt the tentative agreement between railroad workers and operators without any modifications or delay. to avert a potentially crippling national rail shutdown. So that is where Biden forced the contract on about 50,000 workers who voted against it. Now, important to note there's no sick days in what he forced on us, right? I read that verbatim for what he put out in a press release. So where did these sick days come from? It came from Congressman Jamal Bowman did some last minute shuffling and put out a second bill. It wasn't, and that's important to note, right? So they didn't put them on one bill because that would have some teeth. They put two out there. And I'm not the most political person, but depending on who you ask, this was more of a symbolic gesture. And obviously it did not pass the Senate. You know, Republicans voted against it. And, you know, the press release that came across the national media was Republicans shot down the sick days, right? Which is true, but misleading. Yes, you know, they shot it down and they're evil people for doing this. But Biden could have said, hey, force this contract and give these hardworking railroad workers sick days, right? So that is kind of how we got here.
I mean, honestly, just stunning on so many levels. And I guess one element of it too, listening to you, Reese, that feels like an important element of this is the forcing of the contract. I mean, you know, I was lucky enough to be raised with two parents who at different times have been union members. And, you know, I was raised under the belief that if you're a worker on the job, that you have the right to go on strike to protect your rights. If you have to, you don't want to, but you have that right. I mean, how does it feel to basically be told by the government of the United States that regardless of your own life, your family and everything, you just have to accept it? You can't strike.
Well, you know, there's a whole lot of wrong happened there. First of all, it sets a dangerous precedent, obviously, for us, right? I mean, basically, you know, it's essentially taking a baseball bat and then smashing our kneecaps in. Like, we're going to be limping around for years after this nonsense. But also, you know, this is the president of the United States who is a pro-labor president, right? And, you know, to see him do this, other corporations are watching, right? There's other, you know, big unions who also, if they strike, it's going to cause some disruption to the economy, right? So everyone's watching this. So it set a dangerous precedent. It really did. And the reason, also need to point out, the reason Biden is getting so much hate and there's all these really hilarious memes going around, and, you know, and in my opinion, he deserves it because he's parading around as this pro worker, you know, savior to the working class. And then, like, when you just go ahead and you gut him, you know, it doesn't look good.
I mean, there's also the squad members, right? Like, the squad is supposed to be extra progressive, not your typical Democrats. And I believe many of them, if I'm not mistaken, at least three of them, one of whom you mentioned, Jamal Bowman, actually voted to push this through. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Like I said, I felt like this thing was basically like a freight train that running down a mountain with no brakes. It was, and this is my opinion, this thing was going to pass. I felt like the sick days, like I say, I think Congressman Bowman, and I know, you know, some squad backed him up on that. I felt like it was a symbolic gesture. And, you know, what it did achieve is it started a conversation. So, you know, obviously, you know, railroad workers who carried the railroads, you know, through an entire pandemic on their backs deserve more than a token gesture of a sick day. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're used to getting our kneecaps bashed in. So, you know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, I guess, you know, because we're used to having no one look out for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the things that is notable here is that railroad workers themselves have, like yourself, like you here, Reese, been out
Yo,
more in the
what's
media,
up?
talking more
What's up,
and
what's up?
helping inform people. And I know, you and
I think
others,
that
in your lives.
we all remember this well enough that I can pause it right there, right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Raiders.
Down now, right?
Welcome, Raiders from the left flank vets community. We are Pat and Johnny. We are Subversive History. We're an anti-capitalist, anti-colonial, anti-imperialist stream. Normally on Sundays and Wednesdays, we go over books and literature. And we read the books that a lot of times other people they'll mention, but like they're not going over in depth chapter by chapter. We do that. You are at Subversive History, and we're just waiting on Marcus to hop in here. I sent him the link. Oh, good. A stream to hold me accountable.
Oh, good.
Yes, Wilco. A stream to hold you accountable. I mean, like, no. If anything, like, look, we'll read it like for you, basically. But like, if you ever want to like join us and actually like read the books with us, we got a Discord and everything where we normally try and get you like a PDF for it, and if you want to like argue with us about the book on the merits of like what's in the book, we're absolutely down to do that. So yeah, let's figure out where the hell Morbin is.
Yeah, and for anybody that's curious, we're currently going over The Sword and the Shield by Peniel E. Joseph. It's about the revolutionary lives of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. We're about halfway through it now, so still a lot of good information to come. Next chapter is Birmingham's Radical.
Yeah, you'll miss 100% of the books that you don't burn. Welcome to Subversive History, Marcus. Like we're so hyped to have you here, man. You're like a godfather of this stream, honestly. Like, yeah, I'm not kidding, dude. Like without like you rating us, man, like I think we'd still be like just with like our crew of 5 people,
Yeah, 5 watcher Andy over here is. No, I mean it's all it's all stuff that's just coming downhill from a lot of other people who helped us out. So like
hell yeah.
Stay, and like the thing is too is like stay consistent and like keep doing what you want to do. Like this is the thing where it's like don't chase, right? Do what you want to do, and yeah, people who dig it will be there.
No, we're certainly not chasers. Well,
this is yeah. Well, the thing is too was for real, like especially like there's a lot of people who come and do the theory stuff and they come and go. Because like they think there's not people who don't appreciate it and stuff like that. But like you gotta.
I get it. I mean, like, look, like,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
Look, the thing about theory is that like if it turns you into like a psychopath that like can't like just talk with an average person, right? Then you've done it wrong. You've done it wrong, man.
Yeah.
And you need to get out there and you need to like talk to more people and you need to be able to talk to more people without fucking arguing with them. Talking with people does not mean arguing.
No, exactly. Like going around the world like it's a debate, it's like it's not a way to make friends,
So Pat here, Pat here is more of like a touching grass kind of communist.
Yeah, nice to meet you. By the way, so this is the first time I'm personally interacting with you. I know you have a lot of interaction with Johnny. I don't actually use Twitch. I don't actually consume Twitch content. I've just kind of forayed onto it here to do this project with Johnny. So very nice to meet you, and thank you for coming on the stream.
No, it's nice to meet you as well, and like appreciate because like and that's where too like. I like lurk in like a lot of streams as I'm like just like doing a lot of research stuff like that, and like it's honestly I'm happy that there's somebody doing theory stuff again because I don't, and I'm not qualified.
There are people that would probably argue with you about that like, oh, they don't do theory because we're not reading like dialectical materialism or anything. Like, we mostly read books about history because it's like, you know, look, if you don't know the foundation, like the material foundation for a lot of shit going on in the world, like, you know, what does it matter if you know anything about like dialectics or any of this other shit? You know what I mean?
Well, that's like the actions of, you know,
Yeah.
like if these, like, you know, especially too, like you're reading like leftist history. That's like how the thoughts come into action. You know, it's, if anything, it's like the most important part. You know,
it's how the sausage is made.
History influences theory, and history influences theory, and theory influences history.
Dialectic.
Yeah.
I was about to do like the, you know, like,
see, that's where it's like I'm like, you know, like I read this shit and like, you know, like go about my life like with like the, like hopefully the correct vibes, you know, and then people are like, oh yeah, Lurk said this, you know, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, he said it first, I read it, and now I'm just regurgitating it in my language.
Yeah, just like Kwame Ture says that, like, I almost combined Kwame Nkrumah and Kwame Ture,
which would
that
be
like
like
the fusion of like Kwame Ture.
What a powerful being that would be.
But like, you know, he says that, like, you know, look, Marx didn't discover socialism, right? Like, you know, if I was like, you know, a man in Africa researching, you know, gravity, right? You know, even though I'm not calling it gravity, right? I'll come up with the same conclusion that an object in motion tends to stay in motion, you know? But I just really quickly, like, if you wanted to talk to Pat about, like, you know, so like, what's your background? Why left flank vets? You know,
what's the origin story?
What's the lore?
Oh no. So me personally, I mean, getting into the military is like, that's where it kind of starts. And a lot of, like, I was just an idiot, you know. I was kind of just dumb, you know. Like I was, you know, especially, you know, with bartending and spending a lot of my time just like hammered. And
hell yeah.
Well, it was a good time and all. I got to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna kill myself. And then like my dumb ass was like, I should join the military. But that's the thing is like, I got a lot of family in the military, and it's like how a lot of things work. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these systems, you know what I'm saying, how they actually influence and work throughout is that most people who serve in the military have people who serve in the military. My dad served in the military to get his citizenship. You know, like both my parents are, you know, my whole family.
Same.
You know, yeah. And the thing is too, what's wild is that back then it was a whole lot easier than it is now. You know, like it's crazy. I've seen like literally heard of stories of people almost getting deported instead of deploying.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this country sucks.
No, I've read stories about like dudes that literally like served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then literally something went wrong with their immigration paperwork or something, and they're literally getting deported.
Yeah. I mean, so I made the correct decision to like say like, hey, perhaps bartending isn't for me, and then I made a very not great decision to join the Marine Corps. And I was in the infantry and, you know, deployed twice. Pretty thankful. Like I never like got anything crazy, you know, like, and like I would say, like you got all 10 fingers and 10 toes. You know, there's issues, but like I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of rare that like anybody that served in the military like winds up even like drifting leftward, let alone like as far left as like, you know, avowing socialism. Like there's like you and like Michael Preisner that I'm aware of.
And that's where it's like, and that's where what we hope is that, like, I mean, and hopefully like there's still people from, you know, from my chat in here that's still around, but like there's vets in the chat right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we'd love to see it.
What I wanted to ask was that, like, going into the, like, did you go into the military, like, of the mindset, like, were you patriotic? Did you have a lot of faith in, like, the American project, the American system? And then, like, was your time in the military, like, the catalyst to your, like, kind of political transformation, or was there a transformation?
Yeah. So, going into it, I remember, and, like, it's something I actually talked with my brother about, like, of just wanting to, like, I felt like I was doing something good. I felt like not that the country, like it was like people are getting hurt, like it wasn't about the United States. It was like there's bad guys somewhere doing bad things, and like it really making myself useful. And like it's like I'm more fucking himbo than not. I'm a meathead. I grew up playing sports and like smashing my head against other dudes' heads. Okay, we'll go.
Lot of what do you call it? Brain issues.
Yeah. I mean, I just and like that was that wasn't good. I was so I felt like because that's where it too is like when I was like waking up hungover one day, like they would kind of like just say like I can't do this anymore. Let me figure out something I can do.
Oh, I know.
It was about like because I had spun my wheels at college for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like what am I gonna do? How do I make myself useful? And well, I can run fast and I can jump high and I can lift a lot of weight. What does someone like that do? Well, I could go kick ass and save some fucking, but like that's not what it is. But like that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, hey, I can help people. And like,
you were doing something good and
heroic. Yeah. Like I thought, like we were good. I was gonna go join some badass group of dudes that's gonna kill the evil fucking Taliban. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, like, come on, you're.
I want to say this right now. As somebody that's on here every week, multiple times a week, being an insatiable critic of American militarism and American foreign policy, I don't at all. Sorry, my cat's coming up here. So I don't at all
what the fuck
believe that you're at all like So that's like something that's like unintelligent or like like that, like coming under that impression. I think that's like the standard for most American citizens is that this is a good and heroic institution, the U.S. military, and it's only through like some kind of education that you get to the other side of that. So,
dude, look at what we're raised on, especially if you're like a suburban kid, right? A suburban little boy, right? That like is being raised to be a straight like cis male like kind of guy. It's like Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, fucking like war movies,
Saving
right?
Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan, fucking Black Hawk Down. It's like that's the shit. You're excited to see Commando. You're excited, to see the shoot 'em ups and shit.
Which is just something like I think it's funny, like I talk about is that Starship Troopers, right?
Right.
Or like it's.
I loved Starship Troopers when I was a kid.
But I loved it. Yeah. But like in the wrong way.
Yes. I didn't realize that the cool jacket he was wearing at the end was supposed to evoke a Nazi SS officer because I didn't know anything about fucking history. I didn't realize. Hey, why are these white people living out of Buenos Aires? Why is that? Like, I didn't fucking understand that reference because I don't fucking know anything.
Yeah. Everyone bites, no one quits. You know what I'm saying?
Right? To a little boy, it's like, fuck yeah, sick.
And it's like the things where, especially, and this is still this tied into actual something like thicker, than a little bit thicker than my skull. But no, this like this capitalist realism, this the way this saturates, this way that rugged individualism, this type of stuff where like part of becoming a man in our society is you got to go through some trials and tribulations. You have to sacrifice.
Right.
You need to, like go
wear the mask until it's real.
Exactly.
My father has said that shit. I love you, Dad, but that's not healthy.
Yeah, for real. Because oh man, God, like the thing is too is like, and like I remember actually in like when I was playing sports. This was in middle school.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to go to football. I told my dad, I was like, I don't want to go to football practice. I was like, I just don't feel. I'm not feeling it right now. I'm not feeling it. You know what? My ass didn't end up at that fucking practice that day, and the next day, and then like I was like, nah, I don't want to play anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Like I was just like, nah, maybe this is, but it's like that type of shit, right? Of like, I was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
I was a kid.
if not for my congenital heart defect that like nobody wanted to be responsible for if I died on the field, right?
Yeah.
Everything like other than what is it, collegiate wrestling or something. By the way, when I don't know if my school was just weird, but they had us wear the leotard like without a cup, right? I don't know if they didn't issue that yet or
Oh.
something, right? And I'm like, you know, like a 13-year-old boy, and lots of things are happening for me, and like, you know, I'm coming to a lot of conclusions that I'm not comfortable with at that time yet, and like some kid's junk in my face at like 13. And I'm just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
My mom picked me up and I was like, I don't want to do this ever again,
Yeah.
in this way. And like, yeah, no, I didn't wind up being a wrestler. So that did not happen.
Yeah,
But,
well.
so speaking
But
of like, yeah, I
yeah,
know
which I
Wilco
think I got
definitely
to only
understands
one of
that.
those questions though, right? What was my thinking inside, and then where's the transformation? And yes, after my second deployment, like honestly, which I feel like this is when my adult brain started actually like kicking in. You know,
Right.
like I get back from my second deployment, and I just started wondering where did I go?
What
You
did you
know,
just do?
where did I go? What were we doing? And like a lot of my like deployments is like these security missions, walking around, you know, doing these patrols, but
Right.
like once again, thank God, like not like I'm no like war hero, thank God.
Right.
Um,
So you weren't like, you know,
but
there's a wedding, these are the
yeah,
coordinates, you know, like
no, absolutely not, absolutely
you
not.
weren't doing no knock raids or anything.
Yeah. Which and, like, it was like there's a lot of training. There's a lot of working with like foreign militaries. You
Right.
know, there's a lot of going, you know, like and doing surveillance and all this type of stuff with the foreign militaries and stuff like that. But like by that time, especially like where we're at,
So you
and
mean you
like
didn't befriend a little boy who's selling bootleg DVDs, you know, while you defuse
yeah,
bombs?
no, and then he like blows me up. No,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
happen. No.
There's a
He would.
part where like you
Yeah,
have
I
to
wouldn't have
shoot the
felt
little boy.
that. Yeah, no. I would. Like I'd be like, I could never shoot him. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right.
Right.
Go get like end me and get your game. uh, but no. I just when I got back from my second deployment, and I like really like shit sucked. As far as like I don't know, my life sucked a lot at that point in time.
Did
Was it
Roxas
worse
play a
than the
part?
bartending and waking up saying I can't do this shit? Was this point of realizing that it sucked worse than that part of realizing that it sucked?
And that's the thing is like when I was bartending, it was like that's where it was like it was fun. I had a good time. I just knew that I was gonna kill myself. You know,
Right.
I knew that I was gonna end up like driving drunk and wrapping my car around the a pole or
It takes a while for that. I did that for years, man.
well I was trying to speed run. But no, that's in that. But like it really because that's where too is like by the time I was in the Marine Corps and I was like just like this my life this sucks a lot. I kind of hate this. Why? What was I even doing? What are we even doing? I thought I was supposed to be doing like that's where it's like I came in to do good things and I don't know what the hell I did. I know it really wasn't that good. Yeah. And so that's when it's like you start pulling on the thread of like, what does the United States military do? You wind up with a lot of genocide,
A lot of
you wind up,
alcoholism.
well, like you wind up with like, just like where, and like this is actually coinciding with the Bernie versus Hillary run,
Right.
And so that was like, yeah, I was able to, and like there's a lot of like online content, so like the majority report.
So
That's true. Is I missed a lot of Buster.
This is some deep lore. This is
the majority report and like TYT secular talk. I was like because like me trying to figure out what I did, what like where I was and all that stuff, ended me leaking up into a bunch of different news stories, and only a few of them made sense, right? And it ended up being, these like all kind of like left media type, figures.
So what was it that got you? What was the thing that finally like snagged your heart and was like, I kind of want to investigate this harder?
Pick up the hard stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say the thing that like tipped me, it was Bernie.
Right.
It was a debate where they're talking about Syria and the no-fly zone, and Hillary Clinton says, I would institute a no-fly zone, and instantly I'm like, that's my ass. What are you talking about instituting a no-fly zone? You don't institute no-fly zones. I do.
Right.
That's what I do. That's what me and my boys do. And why the fuck are we? I don't know any Syrians. What the fuck? Right? Like instantly she says that shit.
Never did nothing wrong to me.
I'm fucking mad. And then Bernie comes over and says, we shouldn't be sending our troops anywhere if we can't even take care of them at home. And
right.
And you're like, that's my guy.
Done. Sold.
Right.
Done. Right? And then from there, it is just, I just started asking more questions, trying to find the right answers, trying to find things that made sense, and this is where coming out of the Marine Corps, I start getting into a lot of veterans and education advocacy, because I was a veteran, going to college. I'm taking political science classes and shit like that.
Nice.
And I'm getting in there, I'm meeting with state officials and this type of stuff, trying to push for, literally free college. It's like they're pushing for getting college debt removed. It's and I'm meeting with the damn governor and all this type of shit, working my way up, until I end up getting this a staffing job for a member of Congress, right? And I'm like,
do you feel comfortable naming that member?
No.
Okay.
I don't ever name the member I work for.
Gotcha. No, that's
because
cool.
honestly, because they're one of the good ones, but honestly, this is someone who has a good record on Israel Palestine.
Oh wow,
that's narrowing
it down really.
It's narrowing it down, but no one's ever been able to. It's
a good idea.
No one's ever been narrow it down, but or at least no one's ever guessed it correctly, right? But
it was Nance. It was Nance.
Good old them things been thangin'. But also too is the people because really it's not for me in my experience, it's really not about the member as much as it's the things that I take away. It's the institution, and it's also the staff. Right, because the thing is I worked for those people for a few years, and they're my friends. They are people who while we disagree politically quite a bit now what I'm saying, on my first day of work we were pretty close politically actually. I've moved quite a bit from there, and what really kind of what definitely pushed me into there's no saving this government was COVID and being able to see just the see the reaction from behind the curtains, and how some of these programs and stuff got laid out, and that's where I was it's all bad. It's all bad. That's where it's
you have a profoundly unique position of kind of viewing the system as not many people probably have the experience of being, part of the military side of things, and as well as, the governmental side of things, and being able to kind of exist in both of those spheres, and then develop kind of the nuanced political position that comes as a result of that.
Which if anything, that's the only reason why I think that I do have any type of voice to be saying anything is that position, if there's honestly, if there's someone smarter than me that walked that same road, because someone's got to be able to do it better. Right. But at the end of the day, I got a good look at the fucking Tebow steak because I shoved my head up the bull's ass.
Nice.
And I might as well, I might as well let y'all know what it is. Saying go vegan. Go. Time to go vegan. There's nothing good in that cow.
I'm there.
But so I don't know, you know, and then where it's tough too, because it's like, especially trying to really think and consider how do we get to where we need to go as a left, you know, as a left in the United States, you know what I'm saying? You know, how do, with my understanding, like, how, you know, like, how do, you know, like maybe adding two conversations into how do we actually, I think, first build power, and then, you know, how are we utilizing that power?
Yeah, because you're somebody that's worked quite literally on the inside, not to, you know, harken back to your analogy from a moment ago,
Yeah.
but like you've worked on the inside of, like, you know, the military, the government. Like, I've been through like multiple like socialist organizations. I'm not gonna say I'm like, oh, I was this great organizer or anything like that, but it's just like I'm not. I don't see anything that looks like, oh yeah, you know, victory is in sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Well, it's
any
not.
marginal
Yeah.
victory, Pyrrhic victory. I'll take a Pyrrhic victory, even.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's, I mean, I don't know. This is like actually something I'd love to, like, you know, be able to just talk with you guys about, not so much about me, but like, where do we go? Where do we go from where we are right
Yeah.
now with what we know? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I love this conversation. And that's where it's like, you, like, realistically, you know, if you're a materialist, you gotta, you're like, yeah, like, hey, left, you know, US left, we suck. We're nothing, you know, like, we have no power, right?
Right.
We recognize
Absolutely.
that. So the question is, how do we build power? How do we, you know, how do we first build power?
Well, I mean, you know where I'm going.
And then the question, and it's like, so it's like, and that's where I think there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of different things going on, and what's missing is a congruency, and I think a focus on economic, actually, like, yeah, economic programs, because there's so much just like reaction, right? Like the United States sucks a lot, and there's just a lot of reaction. There needs to be, yeah, just a driving program, an actual driving movement that is saying we don't give a shit whatever the fuck the United States is doing.
Right.
We're doing our own fucking thing, you know, while we still are reacting. We are still, you know, they're still organizing, whether it's mutual aid, there's still just issue oriented, you know, electoral politics. Like, all of these things need to happen. What's missing is the congruency. What's missing is the actual, like, spinal column to like, you know, actually give it structure.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, like, this is why I'm always harping on about, and it literally blew my fucking mind the first time that I heard it, right? And I heard it from this guy Rick from the Colonized Buffalo podcast, where he said, like, you know, the First Nations are the vanguard. They're already here. They've been here. They've been here since long before 1776. They've been resisting colonialism ever since. They've been, you know, resisting imperialism, you know, practically like ever since. Yes, a lot of them did join the military, you know, but like, you know, so did a lot of other people that, like, you know, were brought here in chains as well. Are we going to like throw them under the fucking bus? You know, are we going to throw like, you know, these people under the bus for falling prey to a lot of the propaganda that like has been baked into our society for what, close to 2.5 fucking centuries? You know what I mean? So, like, you know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I think that, like, First Nations, they have a government, right? There's like 300 different of them, you know, throughout the country. They've been around for an extended period of time. They have governments, they have economies, they have constituents that like they answer to. You know, they have all of these things that most socialist organizations in America haven't had since like the 20s, and definitely do not have today. And, you know, have, I think, a clearer idea of what like the primary contradiction of this whole nightmare fuel of a country is, and that's colonialism, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
No,
I
that's,
see, yeah,
like,
like Red Falcon is constantly talking about with the Ohio thing, like, give the land back to the Seneca. You obviously do not know how to treat the land or the people that live on it.
Yeah. Well, the thing though is, like, how do you actually make that happen? You know, because this is where too is like, you've got, yeah, like, this, like, you really start. You got to start in the res, honestly.
Yeah.
Because this is where too is like, they're in part of this like structure is like, too is like, we got to be thinking about coalitions, right? because there's no revolution that was just one group of people. In order to make it happen, you got to have coalitions.
Afghanistan had tenuous coalitions, but that's like, if you want an example of what like a poorly constructed coalition can look like, look at Afghanistan.
Yeah. Yes.
If you want to know like what like a good coalition can look like.
But that's what I mean, like really, like Cuba, right? Like even like people like, oh, it starts with like Fidel like on a boat with like 11 dudes or some shit like that.
Nah, it starts way before that.
Exactly, it starts way before, and there's so many more people involved, right?
Yeah.
And this is where like I think this is where having something that everybody can tie into and still have their own coalition, right? And this is where the economic model comes in. This is where I do get into some like Richard Wolff type shit of like building co-ops, and like also too is like when I'm looking at this stuff, like the housing market is where I would go first, right?
Yeah,
that is I think, well, other than pharmaceuticals, it's like one of the easiest plots to undercut the market, right? And not saying like we're not like, because like literally we can't do socialism on day one.
No.
We have to transform our society and figure out ways to fucking do that.
Well, that's when you say coalition, it's just like what other group of people in this country knows how to sign a treaty or how to have an agreement and stick to it more than like the First Nations. They've never broken a single fucking treaty, but every single one of them has been broken by the U.S.
And like if I played, it's like if I could play this out in my head, where there's a few, jamokes like us who are able to like take our streams, get enough fucking community support that we're able to like get other, like, and this one too is like even GoFundMe. And it's like, it sounds crazy. $500,000, you could buy a building. And it's like, oh, are you just going to be a landlord? No. But if you buy that shit and then build a housing co-op, which as long as you live there and you're able to fucking share within whatever the property costs are, and we can actually utilize this now building that we own to even generate more revenue for ourselves, we could, you could do whatever the fuck, right? If you're able to build out from there, and this is where 100%, where like the First Nations, that has got to be our first international communications, right?
Yes.
And like we need to be thinking about that nature. Yes. Then how do we then, right?
Yes. Why are we trying to connect to people outside of the U.S. that live an ocean away when it's like we have people right here, we have governments right here, we have like whole communities right here that like we have not made any effort to like extend that olive branch to right here.
This is the thing is like. And this is where, as the left, like this is where it's like, we got nothing to give, right?
Exactly.
We've got nothing to give, but we can build something together, right? We can offer the coalition, base. Right? We can offer the coalition. That's really because like we can't give you land back. We can't. All we can offer you is a coalition of people who won't betray you, right? And then that's the first step. And it literally is just like trade is going to be one of the the big things. We need to be able to make trade, and build fucking coalitions, because like what the Zapatistas are doing, right? Mm-hmm. Like indigenous, like First Nations, and then like boom, right to Mexico, and that's it's like that's how I think now. And like as much as I loved like just being like an epic online commie and like memeing on fucking people and shit like that.
Stalin did nothing wrong.
That's what I don't know. Well, Pat, what do you think about that? What do you think, Pat? Give me what you got.
I hate to bring it to this, but it's like, so it seems like, in terms of like the coalition building, it goes back to like the political cliche of like hearts and minds. Like how is like a sincere leftist agenda going to actually capture the hearts and minds of the proletariat of the United States, which seems to have strayed so far away from that since the Cold War that it's like not even a thought. I come from a working class family of union workers, in terms of like, all of the male role models I grew up under were all union carpenters, tapers, painters. But still, even in that extremely proletarian household, there's almost no discussion literally no discussion of socialism, even though my father was an extreme adherent to union values, to the sense that he would come home with a list and be like, we can't go to Walmart, we can't go to Chuck E. Cheese. You know how many times I wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, but my dad said, we can't go to Chuck E. Cheese because they're scabs. They hire scab labor. So my father,
Hell yeah.
Which
Union
side
fucking
are you on,
strong.
boy?
Hell yeah. Yo, I come from an IEBW household, man.
So it's like that pride in labor was there. There was working class pride there, but like more like a class consciousness was absolutely absent, could not be found anywhere. It took me to go like more of like an academic route to even discover that line of thinking. So I mean, and I'm not saying anything that's radical, bringing anything new to this conversation. That this seems to be absent among the working class of this country. So how do we come over that obstacle? And it's like, I read my books. Now I have this little stream. Does that help? Maybe in some like almost immeasurable way. But as we see like the working class drifting, or at least a demographic of it drifting more into like kind of like a fascistic area of like MAGA supporters and things like that. Like when we were a couple of weeks ago, we looked up, most white working class people, out of all white working class citizens, most of them are Trump supporters. Out of that specific demographic.
This is something, because you're that's one of the toughest things, right?
Yeah, and I hate to bring that up.
No,
but it's like when you pose that question to me, I know I'm not saying anything new, but it's like
that's key. Yeah, like
I know the white devil. I'm mixed. I know.
This is like I think of. Okay, go ahead.
You bring up the Zapatistas, and this wasn't just like a cooperative community project. This started as a guerrilla army in the 90s, in the wake of NAFTA. You know what I mean? And it's like, will we ever be immiserated to the point that there will be people? The Zapatistas transitioned into a more pacifist kind of organization in Chiapas after originally organizing as a guerrilla combat unit.
They had to kick the shit out of the fucking army for a long ass time to be able to get left alone.
I'll tell you how we get there. All right. And that is having Kitara for president.
Yes.
George Santos presidency will immiserate us faster than 2 more terms of Trump.
I don't want to sound like I don't subscribe to accelerationism. Like, I'm not somebody that's you should make people miserable, especially the poor. I don't even live in poverty. So it's like, who am I as an online leftist to be like, we should make poor people's lives worse so that hopefully we transition to socialism? Like, so like the only avenue that I've found that makes any like reliable sense to me, and this is something that's so armchair revolutionary, and I don't necessarily subscribe to third worldism as a whole, but like the way I look at it is that the sooner that like third world countries can like nationalize their resources and stop using those resources to fund the luxury of the United States, the sooner that we might come to more of a multipolar world where this type of thing may be more of a popular idea in the United States.
Yeah, and this is where too of like, I agree. Like you bring up like a perfect point where and it's where
he does that.
Listening to C-SPAN in the morning and hearing like Americans call in, like you get the realization that with everything that had happened over the past 2-4 years, there's not this class consciousness really that's that close, but there are things that really key into it. There are like things that a lot of like the Trumpers or a lot of right wingers will say that like they're just so close. They're just so close, and this is where I think the point is like we need to stop convincing people. They need to stop saying like they need to be convinced, because at the end of the day, like, and this is where, hey, I'm authoritarian left, right? Like, so if we build out an economic co-op, right? And let's say, Pat, you're a right winger, okay? You hate commies and all this type of shit, right? But I'm not talking to you about commie shit, right? I'm offering you a job.
Right.
I'm offering you a job that pays better, right? And that's all you know. You've got the skills to do the job, and and that's a pretty good salary. Damn, right?
Yeah.
Now you come
Keep
in,
talking.
and my authoritarian ass says you are no longer allowed to be taken advantage of, because you've shown that you've got the skills and blah 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 blah. And here at Morbin and Co., we're actually a co-op, right? And so you agree to these terms, blah 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 blah, and now we're a thing. And like this is the thing where it's like, I mean, hell, Richard Wolff talks about, like, he's like literally like talking about how there's like these group of like tech nerds that were like, oh, we're so libertarian. They ended up like creating a co-op. They ended up like, oh, our boss sucks, let's do this ourselves. And they like cut their work week by a day, got like so many other shit. And like that's the thing, is that we need to be able to get to a point where I don't got to teach you shit.
Right.
I can force you
this
into
is something
socialism, or I can force you into this transitioning out of capitalism.
Right.
Well, and this is something that speaks to the historical precedent of like socialist revolutions or socialist movements throughout the world. Is that, you know, when in Korea or in Vietnam, there was many people that went and sided with communists, not because they believed in communism, not because they had some academic understanding of what communism was. They just looked and said, those guys that say that they're communists, they're fighting colonizers. They're fighting the landlords that have immiserated me and have, like, you know, repressed me for generations. So if that's what communism is, then whatever, I'm siding with those guys in this type of
and the thing that's tough, really, that we actually do have to really internalize here in the United States left, is that we aren't impoverished people who have been beat down for decades that's ready for revolution. We are not that. We literally have to create something different because we exist in something different. And so literally, how do you undercut where people are getting raked over the coals, which is rent, which is not getting educated, which is not getting a good job that pays you, you know? And like, that's where we have to target. That's our only chance to undercut.
Well, I was just drawing a parallel in the sense where, like, you were saying that, like, you know, I have this opportunity where I can provide a job to somebody. I'm not going to say, join me because you're a communist. I'm saying, join me because I'm offering you what your interests are.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of your academic understanding, now this isn't a one-to-one comparison, because obviously the situation in rural Korea in the 1900s is far more dire than what, you know.
But that's where they overlap.
You might not have like an ideological understanding of communism, but regardless, is I'm a communist and I'm offering what your interests are. It doesn't matter what the label is or the education behind it is. You want a job, you want food, you want better benefits, you want to stop struggling to own a house. This is what we're offering.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's where it's that's where, like, what was it saying? Like, yeah, like where it's like, it's the same thing, right? We are just meeting our people where they are, right? And that is not, you know, it's like, that's just the basic, that's where the commie principles actually get into it. It's like, we are meeting your people, like, thinking that we're going to grab a bunch of fucking ARs, go up into Appalachia.
That's going back to that whole, like, growing up on Black Hawk Down, fucking, like, shoot 'em up action hero movies. No, because think about it. Every time somebody starts talking about, like, the fucking Soviet Union or Vietnam or fucking China or any of this other shit, they always end up, like, talking about, like, oh, the protracted, like, People's War, and never about, like, you know, fucking irrigation or, like, you know, building fucking bridges and railroads and shit.
Because the thing is, too, is like, if we start doing the right things, then, like, eventually they'll come, right?
Well, that's the thing is that Potate King brings up an excellent point in this, right? I put it up on the screen for a reason, right? He's talking about not having the initial funds to do, like, you know, whatever the fuck. That's the thing about, like, the entire, like, you know, Western left, right? We don't have any logistical power whatsoever. We don't have an angles. We don't have any kind of money. We don't have fucking anything. Like, so we don't even have any kind of, like, on top of organization, right? Like, I talk about this with my friend that organizes a lot, like, especially with his union, right? That, like, look, until, like, leftist organizations are able to actually, like, pay people to organize, everyone, no matter what organization it is, you are going to have burnout. You are going to be organized to the point where, like, you are fucking burnt the fuck out. You don't want to do this anymore. And it's especially going to happen to the good ones. It's especially going to happen to the people that are really good at it. No matter what, you're going to get burnt the fuck out. And you don't want to fucking do this shit anymore. And it's going to break your heart.
After, I mean, that's where too is, like, I was, like, doing, you know, organizing, like, with this, I guess, where Left Flank starts, like, Veterans for Bernie was, like, we were, like, organizing, like, veterans across the country, just, like, not only vote for Bernie, but, like, leverage veteranness, right, into getting people to be like, oh shit, well, if Army Joe thinks he's okay, and you know
From
what
a
he
propaganda
does,
angle,
what's
from
up?
a propaganda angle, having
Oh,
a
yeah.
bunch of like radicalized veterans that are socialists coming in and forming some kind of like a like you said, coalition, and then like saying like, hey, you know how much y'all owe the troops? Remember all that troops stuff?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? What's happening is not grand for us, and we have some ideas about how some things should change, like that. And I'm not trying to boil down your lived existence into propaganda. I'm just saying from this
Yeah.
coalition
No, that's literally what we
perspective
did.
of capturing hearts and minds, that is super valuable.
And that's where it's like
We've
this,
talked about
like,
LaRouche too much.
I've got this like this fucking beanie. It's a little like Marine, and it's like just says Marines on it. And like I don't, you know, like I really don't rock fucking veteran shit, any of that type of shit. But anytime I was knocking doors, fucking beanie with the Marines, fucking nice and centered, right? I want everybody to know, if you know anything about me, I served this country, and you better thank me for my motherfucking service, okay?
Now give me my discount.
Yeah. But that's where the thing is too, where it's like having it, and like we 100% understood that with the veteran card, no one can say no. No one can talk shit to you, right? Even if they're like, no, like, because like there are some fucking people like who knock doors here, like, oh, they slam the door in my face or whatever. Like they're just like, you know, civilians and shit. And I was like, no one, even the people who are like, oh, like literally, there's some Trumpers who are watching there's like their grandparents or whatever. Like, so like the house, like people I was supposed to be talking to weren't there. This is the grandparents. They're fucking bad Trumpers, right? Start out with, oh, Bernie, and then he just sees the hat. It's like, you serve, you know. And so within the United States, right, and like this is like only within the troop-loving United States, you know, it does this work in, you know, like it does organizing. You know, it's like I wouldn't go to Vietnam with a, you know, American veterans group and try and organize shit. You know, I'd just be crawling on my knees and saying sorry. Like, yeah. So
we plan on doing that. Well, not crawling on our knees, but going to Vietnam and like
I'll
not.
do some knee crawling.
I'll do some knee crawl.
But no, that's where, you know, I think like to that question, that very great and like understanding of the American public, you know what I'm saying, American people, is how do we get people? Well, it's like, don't try and convince them. Build something attractive.
I don't think the veteran card works anymore because like after Trump called McCain like a loser for being a fucking POW, which like, you know,
I prefer the ones that weren't captured. I prefer the ones that weren't captured.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
if a silver spoon motherfucker can come out of like some kind of like highfalutin New York property owning family throwing around millions of dollars for casinos, then can get up on the world stage and be like, I prefer the ones that weren't captured. My veterans, personally, I don't like the pussy ones. You know what I mean?
I don't like the ones that spent time at the Ho Chi Minh Hilton.
Well, that's where
still be like the most popular Republican candidate on the bill, and it's like, so what does that say about the like the political leanings of the country?
Because Trump represents the real hero, the capitalist,
right?
Yeah, really.
Well, I don't even think he represents like the real hero in so much as that like I think he represents because he was on television, and that's how people know him. They know him from WWE.
Yeah.
They know him from like an invented reality, manufactured fictional thing, and that's who they think they're getting when they're looking at him. They're not looking at like the 4 times bankrupt, like, you know, heir to like, you know, a real estate empire.
It's a facade.
They're looking, but that's not what they see. They see the
they're still
boss
watching.
man.
They are still like, they're like, these are people yelling at the fucking refs at a professional wrestling match.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like that's,
and the really sad part of it is that they've deluded themselves into thinking this idea is that it's like, you know what we've had for too long? Politicians. Do you know what we need? A businessman. And it's like,
a TV businessman.
It's always been run by businessmen. If you look at political cabinets, it is full of representatives, former board of directors for Raytheon, for Goldman Sachs. All of these people are lawyers. We have just eliminated the political middleman. We have just taken the middleman right out, and we just elect the billionaires directly into office now.
So
But dude, that's
most of
been
the time
happening.
it's lawyers and executives who used to be lawyers.
Yes.
And it's,
That's
it's one way or the other. If you look at every one of the board of directors in things like Raytheon and Boeing and Lockheed Martin, it's either they work for that company and then transition into politics, or vice versa. Somebody works for the State Department and then retires from the State Department into the board of directors.
Secretary of Defense right now had to get a waiver because he had been on the board of Raytheon.
Right.
Like
Mark Esper was the previous one under Trump. Was Mark Esper, and he was he Lockheed or Boeing? One of the ones I forget exactly.
What's funny? So this is like a funny thing, and it's like years ago. Like I actually should try and go through and finish this. But I was like, I was like trying to make a tweet thread of every Secretary of Defense, and like it used to be like every Secretary of Defense that had connection to the military-industrial complex, right?
Oh,
and and it used to be like the Secretary of War, so like going like back to like wherever, like whatever position they start having this thing, and like so I get to the first, like it was like I got to like the first 6 or 7. And like the only person that didn't have a direct like business military tie was like the one person who was like in the Navy, and like but also was like a lawyer. And I'm like, like that's like I don't know if that like man, fuck you too. And like at that point I'm just like, oh, it's all of them then, right?
He's probably a lawyer
the lawyer thing is also real shifty, because if you go back to United Fruit in their dealings in Guatemala and other Central American countries,
the Dulles brothers.
The Dulles brothers were in Sullivan and Cromwell, which if you just look at them as working for that company, but the thing is they represented United Fruit Company as that firm. But the other thing I wanted to bring up in this conversation was, do you guys know who Elliot Abrams is?
Yeah.
Okay, so Elliot Abrams, for anybody in chat that doesn't know, this was literally a man who was arrested in Iran-Contra, implicated in the crimes of Iran-Contra. Pretty much directly responsible for that situation, as well as the situation with Rios Montt in Guatemala, literally arrested and then waived by George H.W. Bush. Then do you know what he just did? He was just held a position in Donald Trump's cabinet as a special representative for Venezuela. So the man that has literally been arrested in the 80s for the crimes of tampering with Latin American governments is now under Donald Trump, still has a career in politics. Not only just a career in politics, pushing papers around, but representing our relationship with Venezuela.
John Bolton is doing the rounds on like all the news channels and stuff. Like that's where it's like, I mean, like these motherfuckers do not get, like it's not fair. And like that's one thing that like really sucks is like when you crab wave for a war criminal, they die old. They die old as fuck.
And rich.
Yeah.
And rich.
Old and rich.
Yes.
So
like here's the thing though, Pat, is that like, it's been like this the entire fucking time. This isn't anything new. It's just that like I think up until maybe like Bush Jr.'s presidency, right? There was some level.
I don't want to scroll away. They're bringing up Kissinger in chat, which is the biggest affront to any moral god that could ever exist. Is that Henry Kissinger still breathes the same air.
Henry
Kissinger
is in like May. He's going to be 100 years old.
Henry Kissinger is a very valid argument of like, is there a god? Is there a just God?
Is there a just God? Yeah.
But like, what I was trying to say is that like it has always been like this. And that's why like, I think like reading Gerald Horne is so important, is that like I think up until like the Bush Jr. presidency, there was some level of like, well, we have to like tone it down. We can't make it like super open that like, I represent like the Slave Catchers Guild, right? While also working for like, the fucking human rights coalition or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? The Board of Human Rights. So like, but up until like Bush Jr., right? Especially like, I think it maybe was under Senior. When was Rummy talking about needing to cut the fat of like the military and like, having like their responsibilities kind of like sold to the highest bidder,
which I'm not sure.
I think that was Senior, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's-
Rumsfeld would have. No. Were you talking about which Bush was it under?
Yeah, I think it was Bush Sr. that happened under, but like it kind of quietly started happening under Clinton. By Bush Jr., it was kind of like, a little bit harder to hide, especially with Cheney, having open ties with, fucking Halliburton and whatnot, right? But by the time you get to like Obama, where like, fucking, Citibank is like hand picking his entire second cabinet, I believe, and then you get to Trump. It's like, yeah, who gives a shit about the veil?
Yeah,
Fuck
no,
it. Like,
no.
yeah,
See, this
it's
is
like,
thing is like I think farther back. No, I say farther back
And then
because
Trump
like this
is
is where it's
yeah,
like tinfoil hat on, tinfoil hat time. You
all
know
right,
what I'm
crank
saying?
hours, crank hour.
H.W. Bush was fucking in Texas. There was like fucking 3 fucking presidents in Texas when Kennedy was assassinated. But this shit's crazy. It goes way fucking
Yeah,
farther back.
yeah.
It
So
goes
like,
way
where,
fucking farther.
where was
Scott Bush worked with the Nazis.
who brought up where was Bush Senior when MLK got shot? Who brought that up in chat the other day?
Oh my God!
Where was
he?
Bush Senior when MLK was shot?
Oh my God! Was he there?
I mean, was he in the CIA by then? That's the '60s, right?
CIA.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, so this is where like the thing though, right? And like I guess even just like go back to anything tangible out of this like lunacy that I just went through. But like
That's what
I
we're
think
all
that's,
about
like,
here, man.
when I think that is one of
this
the
is
things that's
entire
kind of
vibe.
like that's really the only way. Like you're gonna get some of these Trump people who really like, oh my God, especially serving the Marines. I've got people who I still love them to death, even though they're just, I mean, like they're just they kind of like shitty people. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
It's
let's
like,
be honest. But like, is it anytime I can ping to the like, no, this is the corporations again. This is the corporations again. Anytime I can, no, this is the rich people fucking you up.
No, Marcus, it's the globalists.
Yeah.
The thing is that they're there. They have this kind of like, a contradictory mindset where they believe that like as a conservative they are rebelling against elites, and they do even talk about big pharma, but then when you go like, all right, let's nationalize that shit, they're like, whoa,
right.
no, hold on, the oligarchs can own it but we can't be gay, and that's how that works. That's how politics works, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
Like you're serving basically for the interests of like oil companies and like Raytheon and Boeing and Northrop Grumman. Like you're well aware of that, but like no, it's the gays that are causing all the problems. It's trans kids that are destroying America.
Well, and that's where it's like, because like
there's transnational corporations. I thought you said trans advocates. Okay.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like there's a lot of conservatives that are already on some commie shit because they have to be. Because you go if you know like a little bit about agriculture in the United States,
it's fucked.
You know,
we're done. We're done in like less than 50 years. We're fucking
like,
cooked.
As far as what's happening is a bunch of people who are really getting fucked over by corporations that have to rely on each other, right? They like, because like you want to see cooperative, you want to see like actual fucking communism and work. You go to trumped up farmers that have to literally agree to help each other in order to survive. And like that's happening all over the fucking country with, and like that's the thing is like these are these racist ass motherfuckers that are lobbying to deny black farmers the same loans that they've been getting, right? But how they fucking live essentially is way closer to fucking to even getting to the sense of like having relying on each other, like on a community in a sustainable fashion, right? But it's like, this is the thing, is like, if you can't understand, there could be conservative commies, you're not really understanding the whole project, I guess. But so, that's kind of frustrating.
Speaking of conservative commies, Marcus, have you ever heard of this guy, Bad Empanada? And thank you for the gifted tier gifted tier one stuff.
Yeah, I have.
Have you heard the news?
No, I don't. I don't do this. All
right. So then we won't. No, all right. So then
I
we
don't
won't.
do any news.
No. All right. Well, we won't do it then. No,
I've heard of them.
We're
I haven't. Right. I've heard of.
We're having a great conversation. I don't want to ruin the vibe
on any of them.
Oh, I'm like a tea thirsty
people in the chat.
bitch.
There's other people in the chat that like know what it is, I think, and they're like,
I mean, chat. I'm with you. I am the most thirsty for tea bitch there is. But like, I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. This is like his first time coming on here. I'm like so grateful, and he's like never gonna come on again if I do that.
Now I'm curious. Tell me what he did, and then I'll see if I want to jump.
The reason we brought up maybe bringing this up with you is because it has something it has kind of like, you would have like a valuable insight to the recent tirade he's been on, I feel.
Okay, yeah. What's up?
Oh, Sam, thank you for the bits. Those are bits, right?
Yes, those are bits.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm dying right now. I'm trying to keep it together.
All right, let it go. What's up? Let's let it fly. All right, we're getting to the discourse.
All right. So, he's like going off. I assume this is Discord, right? The way that U.S. mass murderers paint themselves as victims because they murdered people is sickening. This will make your blood boil. A cold-blooded killer openly talking about his murders and... Oh, wait, no, he's like Australian or something, right?
He's Australian but lives in Argentina.
Right. About the murders in gruesome detail while the entire Discord server sends him hugging heart emojis. Just casually throwing out his murder count in a disgusting game of one-upmanship with the other murderers.
Don't read that whole thing. Can you just?
I'm not reading that whole fucking thing.
Go up a little bit more. I think there's a couple above this too, right?
Oh no, he's talking about Vouch. Are you talking about these ones or like I don't know? He always goes
American Death Squad members. It's important to remember that first world English speakers are completely insulated from the rest of the world. They make really statements like U.S. soldiers bear no responsibility for killing Iraqi. And so, essentially, he's kind of going on a whole thing about
No,
really
this is
just
somewhere.
going hard.
Yeah.
So sure. Here, look, here. It's interesting that some Americans.
Which and like so, this is a both sides. Yeah. Okay. So there is a lot of fucking people in this world that if they walked up to me and spit in my face, I'd get it. You know what I'm saying? I totally get it. And there's a lot of people who want to sound cool on the internet and they can shut the fuck up. Right? Because and that's like really at the end of the day, especially too, right?
Thank you, Chimera Machine. Oh yeah, we have a hype train. Holy shit. But keep going.
If I guess if like I don't know, like if you can't understand, right? Like it's like if it's like, do you have any type of abolitionist, fervor within inside of you? You know what I'm saying? Like understanding that conditions cause people to have actions that like you can then like understand which ones are systemic, which stuff like that. And when it comes to the fucking military, like the thing is like really too, where it's like not every service member like it's like, okay, hey, welcome to Iraq. Here's your gun. There's the kid. You know what I'm saying?
There's
like
the kid you're still on the bootleg DVD.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So it's just this thing where, for one thing, we can recognize that there doesn't need to be some type of competition of who's most marginalized. But of course, we do have to take into account, and like that's like kind of the point of left language, like really taking into account of making a fucking bad decision, leaving an open door to people to say, hey, this is something that I regret. But at the end of the day, too, that's also something that can really fuck with you. Like the fact that someone gone to alcoholism is not him spiking the fucking football. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one thing that should be obvious, right?
Thank you, Maverick, for the gift sub.
What are these? That's the thing, right? It's like, especially too, and like this guy lives in us, Argentina or whatever, like like whatever, right?
Some shit like that.
Because like at the end of the day, this like I'm never gonna see him, like it really does not affect my life whatsoever, right? But for the I guess for the hot take lefties who say I'm never gonna allow a veteran into my Charlottesville socialism club, right?
It's like, bro, you already got a Fed. You already have a Fed. They don't need to be a vet to fucking infiltrate your fucking org. Like
the thing is, all of the marginalized fucking all of the countries that's been invaded, none of them are going to be able to make your meeting, but the veteran might.
Right.
So you tell me. what you
I
want.
just feel like to have such a like vitriolic position against that is to like present yourself as someone that is just immune to propaganda. Like your whole life, you've never held reactionary views. You were never influenced by any of the propaganda by the state that you live in, and you can't even sympathize with someone that may have, like you said, come from a military, like sincerely believe they were doing the right thing, and then have come to the other side of that and being like, wow, I have a way different position on this, and I actually want to advocate for, against the things that I took part in.
Pat,
I know we're into.
If Bad Empanada or people that agree with him have ever played like, Call of Duty or Counter-Strike or anything like that, they need to be like dragged out into like the center square and like, put in the stockade or whatever, right? And like be pelted with like old copies of
It's
like,
a
Call of
smug,
Duty.
pretentious way of being like, that would never have happened to me because I'm in perfect control of my brain from all years of my impressionable life, and to the point
I've
where
never
I
had
just
a
know
bad
everything
take.
about it. Yeah, exactly. I've never harbored a bad take.
I've been right this whole time. I'm always right.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, and that's where, it's like, if you're like where, I guess some people are saying as a point where it's like, if you're critiquing a movie, right? If you're critiquing a movie as war propaganda, like,
Right.
I don't think anybody has, but if like this whole thing of like, yeah, because like that looked like a message of someone saying like their grandfather or their father was driven to alcoholism, right? And like,
right.
That, like, goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Like, what
Yeah.
the, like, and this is where it's just like going back to how does this actually, right, affect like real life,
Thank you,
right?
Hashkish, for the 100 bits.
Is that if you are organizing in the United States,
we're fucked up.
You need to realize, right, that the United States populace is like nationalist as fuck. That drives people down certain roads, and if you want to grow your organization, then like you might be opening the door to people who've made mistakes, and that goes with people who have been involved in the justice system, to the people who are involved in the military.
Fuck that. I was addicted to fucking heroin. All right, I did fucked up shit. I hurt people. All right, I did mean, evil, vile fucking things that I'm ashamed of. All right. And it's just like, today I try to spend like as much of my life as I can trying to direct people away from acting like that and behaving like that. And don't even come in my fucking chat. Don't come in my fucking YouTube comments being like, well, I did crack, I did heroin, and I never did anything bad to anybody. It's like, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care about what kind of exception you're trying to make. I don't care what kind of mental gymnastics you've done to like make everything right in the world for you and everything that you've ever done. And you're the next fucking coming of Buddha. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't fucking care. The average fucking person is hurting people. All right.
Yeah. Then that's where too is like, because the thing is too, is like, if you don't work for me or work with me, no, you don't want to cooperate with any veteran, whatever, like, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really, at the end of the day too, that's fine.
Right.
I don't care either. Like, go off, do your thing, be well.
Steal my valor.
Steal some valor. Like, go get that 10% off. I'll still teach you how. Steal the valor. Like, because it's just like none of the, like, it's really too, it's like these hot takes on the internet and stuff like that. Like, I really do hope people aren't going out in real life and then just like yelling at some dude with a fucking Vietnam veteran hat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just such a fucking silly ass fucking thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
He's an ignorant, scared old man, more than likely.
And that's where too is like my dad served in the army. He wears Marines hats all the time because he's like so proud of me and my brother.
Right.
And it's like, if any of y'all,
thank you, Hashker. Sorry, this isn't a regular thing for us.
Well, I'm happy it's happening. But if I heard of anybody messing with my dad because he's wearing a Marine Corps hat, like, I'll tell you, I would be so pissed. I TOS things, right?
Click, clack. No, I got you, bro. Yeah.
Because it's just messed up. It's just an old dude, you know what I'm saying? Wearing his hat,
It's just like, he's been out for like ever.
Yeah, my dad fixed hospital equipment, to the point of like not like all veteran, like hashtag not all veterans, but like literally, my dad never left the United States as an army dude.
Right.
He learned how to fix hospital equipment for the military.
Right. My dad was just trying to get citizenship when he was loading bombs on planes. So Don't go all Will Neff on me. All right.
And you said your dad was an immigrant as well, correct?
Yeah, so like, yeah, my parents were from Jamaica, and in order to get a citizenship, my dad was like, yeah, they were like, you join the army 1 year,
Right.
and like literally it was like on the day, 1 year on the day, sign the paperwork, bing, you're good.
Right.
And yeah, he actually learned like a skill. I was an idiot. I just fucking learned how to shoot guns and like blow shit up. Yeah, but no, that's
Drinking
the thing
and
where it's
driving.
like you can't, you know, like where. What's up?
Can I add a disclaimer here as well? Now, I just want to throw this out there. And I know, Marcus, you said that you weren't familiar. This is like a disappointing thing for me as someone that doesn't really spend time on Twitter or like consuming. Like, I do watch like a lot of YouTube, and Adam Manat is actually like one of like my favorite video essayists with like on a lot of topics. And you know, I just want to throw that out there. I'm not just like trying to be like completely like, you know, coming just from like a drama fueled vitriol or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like seeing this stuff come from somebody who I actually thought had a pretty, you know, a pretty good reputation in terms of making videos. It's a little bit, you know, the cringe is a little disappointing.
Yeah, no, and that's where, you know, like honestly too, because like really it's like if Bad Empanada, if you see this, like I hope you have a good life. I hope you're happy. I hope everybody, you know, like I just hope that for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like because like, and I can hope that because I don't care, because like you don't actually, like none of this is actually affecting anything, you know, and it is kind of just like this hot take machine where, and this is like, and so, and like, it's fine, you know, like this is where it's like honestly, it's just not, you know, it's fine. Talking shit. It's cool, man. You know,
I want this.
Whatever gets you the clicks. But I do got to get going because me and Dick are.
Yeah, you got movie night tonight.
Yeah, have some beers and watch some movies and shit.
Nice. What are you watching tonight?
I have no idea.
Are you watching the Gina Carano movie?
Well, so we want to try and get. I've been talking with Rob Rousseau on having like some type of like watch party thing. So we like that like we're trying to coordinate that for the Carano movie. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for blessing our stream. Thank you so much for all of your support to us and like always giving us shout outs and everything. I will keep typing in all caps in your chat.
It's like you type like River and Ravens how they tweet.
Yeah, no, like I if it makes you feel any better, just imagine me screaming whatever it is I'm typing because that's what's going. That's in my head. That's how it's supposed to.
Okay, word. It's good that it's honest, right? It's real. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the same thing. If it's all caps, I am yelling.
Yes.
There's spittle on my.
Yes.
So yeah, but no, hey, and like for real, like. Thank y'all for doing what you do, for real. Like of actually just doing the reading and all that stuff like that, and like it's just hard. You know what I'm saying? It's hard if it doesn't like go well. You know, like and like you kind of like that's where it too is like streaming is. This is behind the curtain. Okay, streaming drives you crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
OBS and Stream Elements and stuff is literally designed to drive you into insanity.
Yeah.
And I'm envious of your entire setup, your branding, everything. All of it is.
Well, that's where like I hate now. Like honestly, I hate my branding now.
Because everybody's giving you shit about the 3 arrows.
Yeah, because it was like we did it because it was just like, man, when it started, it was just the graffiti, you know, and like goddamn politicians, they co-opted it. It was just literally fuck Nazis. That's it. That was it. And it was like, oh, I hate communism. And it's like, goddamn, who gives a shit? It's a fucking logo. I'm a commie. I don't care about the logo, right? And I've got the sickle and hammer tattooed on my chest. No, but yeah.
Tear the shirt.
Yeah, that's. I'll figure it out someday, maybe. I don't know. But
so, chat, if you're not aware, which I think most of you are literally from friggin' Marcus's stream. C-SPAN in the mornings with Morbin. It's the greatest thing. It's the best part of starting your day is drinking a hot cup of coffee with Morbin, and just listening to your fellow Americans just schizo post on Maine in real life.
It's getting America raw. But no, thank y'all for having me on. Thank y'all for having what you do. I'm happy to give y'all raids, and you know, most nights I would be able to like chill for a little bit longer, but you know,
I got you, man.
No,
I got some dick weight now.
time.
Yeah, no, it's good time. And like this way too is like I do actually like I'd much rather do these types of like any type of collaborate. It's like this is the type of shit I like where we could bounce around some ideas and then try and fucking expand. And, like,
do you want to read a book?
No. Like I said, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you do. Because I can't.
Well, the feeling is mutual, and we appreciate what you do. Just as much.
Half the time I'm like finishing the chapter like right before we hit live. Like
word. Yeah, because like that's the thing is like I never come with the reading done. All right, you can ask my professors.
Same.
But no, yeah, for real. Once again, like you guys sticking to actually going through pages is important. It is legit, and I am too much of a weakling to do it. So you got to keep it up. All right.
Well, that's the thing is that we do it and put it in like a stream form where like we abridge it and we put in some videos where it's like even if you don't read the chapter yourself, if you listen to us talk about it for a couple hours, you will know that chapter. I promise you, you will know the content of that book. You tune in. If you don't like reading, come and hang out. We make little jokes. We fuck around for like 50% of the time and then get serious the other 50% of the time. And if that helps you digest material that maybe you wouldn't sit down and read otherwise, come and hang out.
That's like literally the only way I was able to get to the fucking first volume of Capital was like going as much as I could, listening to some fucking podcast or something, help me understand what the hell is going on, trying to push through a little bit more. So it's like that's like I said, I like legit, like I'm not bullshitting. Like it is like this is one of the more important things of just like having people be able to engage in the ideas and the history, So thank you for having me on. We'll definitely.
I keep holding you up. You can get out of here. Thank you so much.
We'll release our prisoner.
Yeah. Peace, y'all. Chat. Be good. Have a good weekend.
And all surrounding areas.
And all surrounding areas.
I don't know all the inside jokes.
Fucking.
It's okay.
Oh my God! Have you ever heard of Marvin Cease?
It sounds familiar. Oh my God, this stupid cat in my room.
I don't know. I mean, like the I feel bad because the hype train is finally ended, but I gotta pull up Marvin Cease now.
Oh, that yeah. I got.
All right. So now. All right. Well, now you got to go back. All right. How to read Marx Capital, right? I don't know if we'll ever actually do one of the like longer, like 1,000-page books. Like, I would love for us to like try and do something like Lacerdo's book on Nietzsche, but it's like 1,000 fucking pages. Or like, even like Capital, for instance, that's a bit of a longer book. And I know the guys from Marx Madness. I haven't talked to them in quite some time, but what the hell is it? They actually started recording their episodes for Capital. They came like out of the gate swinging, releasing their episodes on Capital, but they started recording like something like 6 months ahead of actually like, starting posting episodes and shit for that, and that's dedication, especially for just an audio format. Oh my God. House of Leaves stream when? Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe if it turns out that House of Leaves is actually like a fucking subversive commie book and we just we're all too simple to realize it, maybe we'll do House of Leaves one day.
Yeah. And also
it's not my Discord notifications, no sir.
Is it mine? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah,
green what do you mean?
The Green Book would probably be a great one for us.
Which one?
So short. You know what I mean? The Green Book isn't a bad idea. We're also open to, suggestions. I mean, it sucks because as two people that are like really interested in collecting books and reading books, it's like me and Johnny probably both have lists of 100 books that we want to read. And, right now we're reading right now, the book that we're reading, it feels like we've been doing it forever. We just got halfway through it, and it's like, it's going to take us another couple weeks to get through this, and then we have like 4 or 5 already queued up that we want to do. Now, this is always subject to change. You know what I mean? We've already been like, oh, we'll do this one next. We were supposed to do Liberalism by Lacerdo like 2 months ago or so, or like that was supposed to be one of the second books that we did, and it just keeps getting replaced. And the green book would probably be cool just because, like I said, it is short, which is good because we figured out that sometimes the book's just too long and like not the right content, that doing this like chapter by chapter analysis kind of sucks for like consumer audiences. Time for some whiz-biz. Right now we're doing The Sword and the Shield by Peniel E. Joseph. It's the radical lives of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So it kind of goes into the details of like the non-whitewashed lives of Martin Luther King, and gives props to Malcolm X, in the ways that he's usually vilified in the media. So we're relatively new. We started out with a little bit of The Divine Reality by Perenni. Then we did The Divide by Jason Hickel. Then we did Black Shirts and Reds. We did a little bit of the Counter Rev of 1776.
Wait, there's a green book with a Maupin intro? Get the fuck, Caleb Maupin. You have no idea who Caleb Maupin is?
You're asking me?
Yeah,
Do I know who Caleb Maupin is? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, all right. No, there's apparently a version of the green book with an intro with Caleb Maupin. That's disgusting. Yes, that's the version we're going to read, though.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Who produced, like, what publishing house was like, hey, let's throw Moppin on this. Let's get Moppin on the track.
He knows a lot about Gaddafi, right? Unfollows, unsubs, he's blocked by. Oh yeah, no. Then that's another thing about like, Maupin and like the LaRouche brand guys is that like, most of them you can almost tell that they haven't read any of the shit that they love to quote. They know they have like a handful of stuff that they like picked out to back up whatever dumbass fucking take that they have, right? And that's it. That's as far as they go. They find what they need, and then that's it.
I had this exact thought when Jackson Hinkle came on the scene. I first heard of him because I heard that somebody kind of gave Vosh a hard time on a Syria debate on like not following like the State Department narrative on Syria. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a pretty cool conversation. Let me check that out. This is before that guy went like off like a cliff. So I checked out some of his stuff. And then there was one point where he was like, oh, I'm reading this book right now. What is it called? What is it called? What is it called? And he was like, oh yeah, Black Shirts and Reds by Michael Perenni. I was like, man, you're just getting on that now and you have this big of a following. Like you're saying you're like a Leninist, and it's like you couldn't even remember the name of it. When he was trying to tell somebody what the name of the book was, he had to find the book to be like, oh yeah, Black Shirts and Reds. And I was like, man, that's like day one reading, man. And you're up here.
He was into spanking.
Well, you might be talking about Jackson Hinkle, who might be.
Jackson Hinkle. Is he like a pedo?
I don't keep track of these fucking people. Really,
I don't know. I know he was like a Bernie bro in the beginning, and now he's like, all about.
Now he's like a Tucker Carlson guy.
Yeah. Which, like, you know what? They're so fake. They're so fake. You know why? Because he said that, like, oh, I'm gonna go to like the trucker convoy or whatever, and I'm gonna bring like, hammer and sickle flag or whatever, or some kind of like bullshit. Bullshit. You never showed up. You never followed through. You're a fake ass Jody. Shut the fuck up.
Potato King saying that was aimed at Moppin about being I think he's like a groomer and like a sex pest and like uses his position in the weird party that he runs to like manipulate girls into like spanking him or something like that.
Yes.
He's all around just like a weird, not cool guy that I disavowed. He has like this, when I was first getting into stuff, he has this old debate with this like fascist guy, Invictus something or other. And I think he does a really good job in that. But then he started getting more involved in like the online debate sphere, and like he started to just become like an embarrassment to Marxist Leninists, because like
CPI Ninja Can.
when he started debating Destiny and Vosh and like other people like that, and he put himself on the grand stage and just made a really poor fucking showing of himself, and then also just like embarrassed himself in a number of ways, and like it publicly, you know what I mean? And then like he kind of became the stand-in, is like, yo, this is the Marxist Leninist talk, like, you know, the representative of it, and it just gave the whole political ideology a really bad name, in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much. Because then everybody that was like, yeah, I guess I'm a Marxist Leninist, now put the idea in everyone else's head, like, oh, so you're on board with like Vaush and or not Vaush, fucking Caleb and Moppin and Haas and all those other like, weird fucking people.
That became the synonymous thing with tanky. When people said tankies, they thought of Maupin and Haas and Hinkle, and it's like, dude, like, it's the worst. Optically, it was just terrible for like anybody that's like, hey, I'm a Marxist Leninist, and I question a lot of U.S. State Department narratives, and I also try to rehabilitate to some degree the legacy of China. It's like, now it's like being associated with those three like cancerous individuals has just been.
Did I ever tell you about my and it wasn't CPUSA, it's PCUSA that Maupin's now associated with, the Party of Communist USA, but now there's like a splinter group. I don't know. It's like less than 30 fucking people in like the entire fucking country, so it's not even worth the time. But
this is the problem. Good. I'm sorry.
My friend literally called me up one day and like, he's like texting me like, yo, do you ever heard of this guy fucking Jackson Hinkle? Is this your people? Do you claim him or whatever? And I'm like, no, stop right there. And I had like a fucking 3-hour long conversation with him about it.
So, and I think when we go back to discussing our conversation that we were having with Marcus in terms of like capturing the hearts and minds and bringing the working class over to socialism, this is something that like is like has bothered me as somebody who got into this like political realm a little bit later in life. And it's like, there's the Communist Party, there's all these like different parties, and like there's the DSA, there's the PSL, there's the CPUSA, and like out of everyone that I spoke to, like it's like no one ever had a good opinion of any of these organizations. So it's kind of like you kind of are like reserved or like jaded to like political organizing, because there's not a single political organization that I haven't heard with a terrible reputation in the United States. Like at one point I was like, well, I guess I should join the PSL, and people are like, the PSL is like this.
They're all bad.
So when I went to India, hey, what's up, Sean? Good to see you. So when I went to India and I was visiting the CPIM at their Congress, so many Indian comrades came up to me and was like, you're a communist? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, are you in the Communist Party of the United States? And I was like, well, no. And I was trying to like tell them, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same. You know what I mean? But in my heart, I felt like a little bit embarrassed that I was there, and they were like, they were happy to meet somebody from America that was there, because like it bugged them out that like an American person was there supporting this. And they were like, oh, you're a communist, you're part of the Communist Party. And I was like, well, no, like, and it made me feel a little ashamed that I wasn't, more politically involved in something.
Sam thought we were covering Hinkle when we were doing that Jason Hinkle book.
God, I love that book so much.
But like real quick, in my opinion, right, as somebody that like, I was briefly trying to get into the PSL. I've been in the DSA. I was a national delegate like twice for the DSA. I was in the Maryland Buck Brigade for like the New African Black Panther Party, right? Or at least I was like, I don't know what the fuck was going on there. I've done IWW shit, I've done too many parties, too even local shit that like is not even national. It was literally like, some shit based out of New fucking Jersey, and that's it. Here's the thing. No matter what party you join, no matter what org you join in the US, it's going to have some shitty people, and something shitty is probably going to happen. And, the most important thing that you can be aware of is like, what's your policy around like grievances, harassment, shit like that. If you're in the DSA and you find out that like, oh, there's 2 people in charge of the national part of like, grievances and harassment for the DSA, it kind of makes you double think some things. And the PSL, I don't know. It depends where you are. Some chapters are better than others. I don't know, organize where you are with whoever you can. If you've got like an indigenous organization, organize with them. I don't know if they're pretendings or not. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that word, but whatever. I don't know. Do whatever you can. I don't have those kind of answers for you. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, Pat.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't at all. I finished my thought, and you went on yours, and everything was perfect.
And everything I do is perfect. A
But,
lot of
people, I feel like I am hard on myself because when I hear people say like, all theory, no practice, internet leftist, like all this stuff, it's like, I feel like that's me because, I have very little like actual organizing, but I'm so, worried. I like to get involved. I don't know where to organize necessarily. And that's why, like, I don't know about necessarily organization, but, we have a plan here at Subversive History that probably within the next 2 months, I would say like by April, we're going to just start doing our own like community not necessarily organizing, but charity and stuff like that. We're going to start running donations here. Even though we're not that big or anything like that, if we can still just get a couple of dollars and start giving out some supplies to like homeless people or hungry people in North Philadelphia or Camden or Newark or any of these places in the relative vicinity of us, you know what I mean? We want to start doing that. So that like, it's like, we're not just here talking on the internet. We are like, diverting some of the platform that we have back into the communities and people who need it. So look out for that in the next 2 months. I would say by April is going to be the first time that we embark on our first charity drive.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of like what we're trying to do here. And honestly, Pat is like way better at this. Like I kind of suck and fall short of like remembering like you got to like kind of take people where they're at, which is why a lot of times like with like trolls and stuff, sometimes some people are like just being an asshole about it. Other times I'm hoping that like, do you actually like want to learn? Are you actually like going to stick around and like, do this? Like, do you want to learn any of this? Like you just don't be an asshole to anybody in chat. Don't start calling people like, racial slurs or like, transphobic stuff and shit. Don't do that. Like we want you to learn more than anything, and like, yeah, I feel extremely guilty that I'm not organizing with any kind of fucking thing out there. And like, the entire time I've been organizing since like 2016, I have constantly fucking felt like I have like imposter syndrome and that like I shouldn't be doing this. I don't want to do any kind of leadership role. I don't want to fucking be in charge of anybody. I just want to be rank and file. Just tell me what to fucking do, right? Point at something and tell me do this and I'll do that,
Well, and also like when we go and do this charity thing in like 2 months that we want to do, I don't even want to politicize it really. Like I'm not going to hand something to a homeless guy. I'm not going to hand a pair of socks to a homeless guy and then also give him a pamphlet and tell him to be a communist or
that's just goofy, man.
Or try to or subscribe to my Twitch or you should believe this. Like I want to have a completely conflict of interest free charity drive. Like we are helping people. We are not doing this. We are not like Trojan horsing propaganda along with charity. You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't want. Because I feel like some people do that. They're like, oh, we're giving this stuff out, but here's our pamphlets. Here's our website. Maybe you can join. Like, obviously, if somebody came up and was like, who are you guys? We can't just be like, we are an anonymous organization.
Yeah, no, you'll get arrested, bro. You'll have a permit to be doing this? No? All right. Pack it up or I'm blocking you out.
If you're in North Philly, you don't need a permit for nothing. No cop in North Philly is going to come up to you and be like, what are you guys giving out socks and underwear? And like, get out of here. That would never happen.
I feel that, Johnny. I was one of the first meetings of the new DSA chapter set up in my county. Was immediately turned off with how much they wanted the first people attending to do. And yeah, no, that's look, I remember the early days of my first like DSA meetings, and it was like a handful of young people that like, didn't know fucking anything, including me, and some like retirees and shit. You want to hear something fucking crazy, chat? My first fucking DSA meeting. No, it might have been my second. I'm lying. I think I was like, why don't we just like, call ourselves like, the Democrats of America and just take out the socialism thing if people are like, so wigged out by it. Because I didn't know fucking anything about socialism. Fucking nothing.
Respond to this real quick. Wait, what's wrong with the pamphlet? People got to know your organization if you want to get support. See, like that's the thing. Like, and I agree with you in that. I'm not trying to say that there's anything inherently wrong with pamphlets, but I feel like even if we're like explicitly some kind of like socialist or communist, we write some manifesto up and hand it out in a pamphlet, or even just to promote it feels wrong to me to promote a Twitch stream using charity. Like, you know what I mean? To be like, hey, subscribe to us, and we're out here. I just don't want to have that conflict of interest. I want to help people for the sake of helping people. If through our online, through our like online promotion, if people see what we're doing in the community and they want to join us and help us with that, then that's great. But like at the point of transaction with the like underprivileged people that we plan on helping, I don't want that to be like an indoctrination move. Does this make sense?
Yeah. I remember that, Senchal. I was there for that national convention. And I was there for the ensuing results afterwards when he got elected to like the national committee or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like double checking like, my paperwork from when I went. It was like, I didn't vote for him, did I?
Oh yeah, and then also this isn't bad, like a business card type thing where it's like if somebody asks and they obviously we're not just going to sit there and wear masks and be like we're an anonymous organization. We will not reveal.
Yeah, we should wear Guy Fawkes masks and like fucking. When people ask you who you are and what you do, who is your daddy and what does he do? You just focus on what you're there to do that day. Like if you're running any kind of event, you can be vague, but say who you are. Then flip it back onto what you're trying to focus on. I mean, like if I'm just like giving out like socks and underwear and shit, or like food or something, it's just gonna be like, yeah, I'm a communist. Here's some food. Here you go.
Yeah.
We made some food. Here you go. That's it. I don't fucking. I don't. Nope. None of this whole like this hours that I spent working on these like few paragraphs to try and like make communism as succinct as I possibly can to somebody with a questionable education. I'm not doing that.
The way that I look at it is that we'll get the attraction indirectly, not directly to the people that we're handing the food to and the underwear and the socks to, but. And for those of you that don't know, if you spend any time like, on the street or anything like that, socks and underwear, socks are like the most golden thing that you can give to a homeless person. If you can ever donate anything and you have pairs of socks, that's going to be one of the most important. But
Poison, I just want to know if Poison has ever kept anything that has ever been like, left under their windshield wiper.
I show every homeless person I had a care package in my pinned tweet. But for me, it's like this, right? We're not going to make it a whole thing to like a publicity thing, but like obviously we'll maybe do like a little stream or like a little video showing that we're actually out there in the street doing some things, not just sitting in our chairs, talking into microphones. And if that creates more of a buzz around our, quote unquote brand and people want to follow us and contribute, then that's great. But like I'm not going to go and like when like a homeless guy comes up to me for a pair of socks, start proselytizing politics to them. I just don't want to do. And I also optically I don't think that's good. If there's any detractors of communists being like, look, they're not even charitable, they're just trying to this is all a propaganda tactic.
We should tell them we're with the CPC. Yeah, we work with the Communist Party of China. You can thank President Xi for this hot meal. Both organizations I was involved in went up in flames, ISO and BLM. But the one thing I learned from being part of that was I actually know a lot more than a lot of seasoned socialists. Well, that's the thing is that like there's a lot of people that get into organizing, especially when Bernie was still running for those like 2 terms, that were literally like getting into organizing strictly to try and advance their electoral career.
Yeah, and Ninja, I agree with you 100%. And especially as somebody that knows intimately like these areas in North Philadelphia as well. Like, if you know anything about Kensington and Philadelphia, it's one of the biggest open air drug markets in the country, if not the most notorious open air drug market in the country. Not every person is going to be homeless at all. And we don't plan to like, we don't want to, be so reductive in terms of the people that we want to help. And I don't think you're wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you're wrong in everything that you're saying here, or that there isn't an ethical way to do what you're suggesting.
I'll say they're wrong.
I'm not trying to be just completely contrary to what you're saying.
dudes or NBs, I don't know pronouns. I see so many people with anti-CCP decals on their cars in the deep. Wilco, what fucking state are you in?
Yeah,
You got like fucking.
and like it wouldn't surprise me to see that, but I'm not. I don't think I have seen that, at least where I live.
I see all kinds of weird shit, but not that. I remember when I was hoping that Bernie was going to win, like either like the first run or the second one. I was like, I'm gonna put on the back of my car in Cyrillic, what the fuck is it? Mission accomplished in Russian on the back of my car, and like have like a Soviet flag flying from like the back of my car or something. And I was like, I would probably get shot at, but it would be worth it. That's such an odd thing to put on your. And like I'm kind of speaking from my
experience. I work
experience.
for feeding our problem. We're in a more rural area, and in Quebec, there's not really a lot of homeless problem here. We serve like seniors and students' parents. They're coming at it from completely different. Yeah, and that's something that I didn't even really consider either. Like I have very at least for our first project, I have a very like one-sided idea of how this is going to be going into North Philadelphia, and that doesn't even offer like what kind of like what is it like in Quebec if you were to be doing the same kind of project, and how do you have to approach that differently? So that's also a good point.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the other thing is that, like, there are probably people that are already organizing and already doing the things that we would like to do in that area already. And would we do you think we would honestly be able to do it as good as these, like, like more experienced people instead of just us, like, helping, like, remember, I was bringing it up before, but here we go again, logistics, right? If we're able to financially assist them so that they're logistically able to keep doing the good work that they already have been doing much better than us, right? I think that works out a little bit better. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting? There's a like talking about this stuff with decals and stuff like that. There's a UFC fighter who I may or may not know personally, who has like a hammer and sickle tattoo, and he's a Russian. He's of Russian descent. He's a Russian American, and he has. And I don't believe he's like a communist at all. I think he's like simply someone that has some kind of like a patriot. I never asked him about it because I don't want to be that dick at the gym and be like, "Hey man, like what's up? You're communist." You know what I mean? And he's actually not the only Russian American guy I know that has a hammer and sickle tattoo. The other one I know a little bit more personally, and he said specifically, he's like, "Oh, I'm not a communist or anything. I just like appreciate Soviet heritage or something like that."
Yeah, he's actually not even the only Russian I know of that does that.
Yeah.
As you know from like my table of vapes that like you constantly see me hitting throughout every stream because I'm just addicted to nicotine, and no, I don't plan on quitting. There's a guy that like manufactures vapes or whatever, and he goes by Rusky, and he uses like the hammer and sickle on shit, as like part of his like branding or whatever. Yeah, Rusky, and he's just like, no, I'm not a communist. I'm just Russian.
Yeah. So there's definitely a field of people that I feel like can get away with it. And this guy fights in the UFC with his shirt off, and you can blatantly see that he has this tattoo. And I haven't heard anybody be like, "What is this? This guy's a communist. This is like having a fucking hammer, a swastika." Nobody's ever said that because he's just like obviously a Russian guy. That's like
right. Sebs, you get shot for a lot less than a sticker in the U.S. You have people right now that. It's been like a string of them. These like right wing guys that like murder their entire families because they think that like it's coming. The end time's here
because they're turning gay.
Yeah,
they think homosexuality is going to indoctrinate them, and thus they have to remove them from this sinful world.
Yeah, I know. I have a friend from my childhood that I haven't spoken to in like 15, 20 years. But like my mom stayed friends with his mom, right? And, when like the vaccine finally came out for COVID, you remember that rumor that like, oh, if you don't get vaccinated, they're going to go like door to door and, fucking like they're going to force vaccinate you. Do you remember hearing about that? So he was one of the people that thought that, and he owns firearms, and he's like, I will murder my, wife and newborn child if it comes down to that. Did you get all that? Because like I don't know what is going on with like my screen. It just like for a
Yeah,
second
no,
I had the spinny wheel.
I hear what you're saying, brother.
Okay, because like my video, it looks like it keeps cutting out. I have no idea what's going on.
No,
Oh yeah,
no,
no, that's you think that's insane. It's not like that far off from like the average you know, shit that goes on out here. People think like New Jersey is like one of those coastal elite, you know, fucking states. It is not. We are fucking unhinged.
Well, and the thing about New Jersey that don't understand is like the diverse nature of it. Like, I think everybody assumes it's like the Sopranos, like throughout most of the state, like
No.
the Sopranos in the Jersey Shore, and that is just like what New Jersey is. Because like New Jersey is like, here's some fun facts about New Jersey that I like to give out here. So New Jersey is the third smallest state in the entire country with the most dense population, more densely populated than any state in the entire country. There's more horses in New Jersey per square mile than anywhere in the country. Horses. I don't know why, but this both speaks to like the urban and rural duality of New Jersey. That we have all these people and all these horses, and same thing that you can go from like these intense urban centers, like around Camden where I live, or Newark, or Patterson, or Jersey City, like Hoboken, like places like Atlantic City.
Yeah, I can show you the trailer park down the road from me.
Exactly. Like in between that, like you get like 30 minutes outside of that, and it's like you're in just like redneck country. And people here assume redneck identities as well. They wear,
out in Sussex County and shit, they all wear camo. They got the quads and shit. Hell yeah, dude.
With a southern accent.
Yeah.
I don't know where they get it from.
They got Confederate flags and everything. Just where they segregated the Italians from New York, but also this might not be wrong. I mean, like, I don't know. Well, here's like the other thing is that like New York Italians, right? I feel like considering that article, have you ever seen that article by Mussolini where he was like talking to an Italian man that had moved to America, and he's talking about how his son is like, you know, speaking with exaggerated hand gestures and adopting what he calls these more Jewish like, you know, qualities than Italian. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is that like, you know, New York Italians or just like American Italians are actually more culturally Jewish than they are Italian.
Have you ever heard about it's funny that you bring up Mussolini and like Newark. Have you ever heard about the riot or like the fight that happened between Italians and black people over fascist Italy like invading Ethiopia?
What?
In New Jersey, in New York.
Get the fuck out of here. What?
Yeah, hold up. Or actually, I can pull it up now. We're on stream. Hold on. Newark race riot.
We're back to old reliable StreamYard, which is like a shame because I wish that chat could just be flowing underneath us, and I would literally just keep this. I wouldn't even bother with fucking OBS. I mean, we're learning about all kinds of like scuffles and like, you know, protests and like, you know, riots and stuff, like the UN one the other day after Lumumba was assassinated. We learned about how like apparently like a lot of people protested in the UN building over the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. And like, I had never fucking heard about that. I'm not giving up on OBS, Ebs. It's just because like, you know, when we have like people come, when we have company, it makes it like so much easier and less stressful for me to try and like set up the camera capture and everything. You know, instead of just just literally sending them a link and be like, yeah, here, just hop on. I don't know, maybe if Streamlabs has like a better camera capture thing, I'll maybe start using that or something. I don't know. I mean, like, you know, we're trying. All right. I thought you were going to mention the black NJ teachers going on strike for more Afro-centric education and most of the teacher unions being against them. I'm not aware of that, about like the teacher unions being against them. But like, I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised, especially if it's, you know, especially up north or not up north, maybe more south, I guess. I don't know. The areas closest to civilization will probably be like for more Afrocentric education, right? Whereas like, you know, the places up in like, you know, the fucking mountains or out in the fucking pine trees and shit in South Jersey or even the shore, yeah, I can definitely see them being very against it. Slobs has basically no customizability and obliterates your CPU. And that's another thing. I don't know anything about computers. Nothing. I'm totally computer illiterate. My favorite fun fact about Mussolini is he wanted Italians to give up pasta for rice because it made the people sluggish. I mean, like, you know, technically, like, why would an Italian man praise an invention by, you know, those despotic Orientals of the East? None of it is Afrocentric. It just includes. Oh, okay.
I can't find anything about this riot that I made up in my head.
So did you fucking gaslight me and all of chat?
I swear I read about this one.
You just get chat. He just gaslit all of us. He's gatekeeping, like, you know, cool stuff. He's just inventing shit now. You know, he had like a fever dream.
This is what I've been doing this is for the history of the stream, and now it's fine. My house of cards is finally crashing down.
Maybe we'll say this, like, sometimes. I'm not gonna say all the time. I'm gonna say it happens often enough, right? That, like, you know, you'll be able to tell which parts of, you know, which chapters I wasn't able to finish in time, right? And if you're able to call me on it, right? If you're able to call me on, like, hey, Johnny, did you actually finish the reading? I will gift you a fucking sub. My favorite Mussolini quote is, hey, why are you tying that around my ankles? It was Harlem.
Yeah, I thought it was for some, and don't let's not get it twisted. I still might be right about that. I can't find anything in Jersey specifically, but
there might have been a second smaller clash in New Jersey
when Harlem and Little Italy clashed over Ethiopia. On August 3rd, 1935, 20,000 black and white New Yorkers marched down Harlem's Lenox Avenue to protest fascist Italy's plans to invade Ethiopia, a League of Nations member of one of the few African nations that had never been colonized up until that point. Demonstration brought together black, labor, religious, and Pan-African groups, Italian Americans, leftists, and communist-linked American League, again, war against fascism and the event sponsor. Now get out of here.
Really? Just hit continue reading.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, no.
Whose grandpa and grandma is that?
Whose grandparents are these?
Chat?
We're the only ones here from, like, New Jersey. These are our grandparents, if anything.
Not mine.
Not mine either.
We protest murders by fucking Adi Ababa? All right, I'll be right back. I gotta get water.
All right. Well, chat, you're locked into me on Wikipedia. Have fun. Oh, damn, look at that. Ethiopian victory over Italians at Battle of Adwa in 1896. I didn't even know that happened. Apparently, Ethiopians defeated Italians in 1896. It's pretty based. Ross Publica. Yeah, that was just the Bellamy salute. We're just friends of Francis Bellamy here, the architect of the Pledge of Allegiance. Try to see if there's anything on this Wikipedia page that, like, talks about the reaction in the United States. Italian forces. Just a humble salute. Baldwin's Ghost. Yeah, the invasion of Ethiopia was the second attempt. Wow. So that was like irredentist of them. Trying to see if there's like I said, anything on here about the reactions in the United States, so I can validate the stories that I make up. So yeah, a lot of people say that Ethiopia was never colonized. I think they say that out of all of the countries in in Africa that were colonized. It was like 97% of them. The only two that were not colonized was Ethiopia and Liberia, which is an interesting two to choose because I do believe that this would constitute some type of colonization for Ethiopia. And then also Liberia is like a literal slave colony that was, you know, from exported slaves into their own colonies. I mean, it's named Liberia, and it says what is it, Monrovia or Monroeville as its capital. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a real low bar for not being colonized. Yeah, potato cake. I did hear that like, you know, what year was that? I gotta, because, and also potato king. I also heard that this was the first time that like aerial bombs were used. That the Italian like fighter jets that dropped bombs on Libya was the first time in like military history that bombs were utilized out of planes. Let's see here after that. I want to pull that up actually. You work? Yeah, okay. Libya. Italian Libya. Colony of fascist city, Italy, like in 1993. Okay, so they already had like colonies there. Conquest. Italian efforts to colonize Libya began in 1911. It's crazy that this was all in the 20th century also. Like the situation with Ethiopia, like, you know, we're reading all this stuff about like the civil rights movement in the United States, everything like that. And like all of this, that's why if you were in the stream with us last time when we were talking about like French Algeria and like France like murdering 200 Algerians in Paris in 1961, like the same time that we're reading about Martin Luther King, France is just doing like wholesale massacres in Paris and in Algeria. It really brings like the colonial issue to a much more contemporary sense.
You're telling me that things just didn't stop happening once the war was over?
But then you can even take it to the 80s when fucking, you know, Mayan Guatemalans were being like executed wholesale by Israeli rifles supplied by U.S. funds.
But Pat, I thought that like when historical events end, that's it. There's no connection to anything else after that. Things are just randomly happening.
Italian forces under blah blah blah. They used chemical weapons, mass executions of soldiers and civilians, and concentration camps.
Did they use? Was it vinyl chloride?
Oh, I don't know. Fucking Italians, man. If I needed one more reason.
You heard about how like, you know, the fucking shit that they spilled. That's another thing. We never even went over trains with Marcus, and I like meant to do that. That's why I played the breakthrough news articles. But you know about like what do you know about the train thing going on right now?
I don't know anything about the train.
So the chemical vinyl chloride that was carried by what, like 20 cars or something like that on the train that derailed was carrying a chemical that was burned and during World War I and used as like chemical warfare against people. Jesus has nothing to do with this.
Jesus is not present for this.
No. The gaze of Jesus does not is not cast upon the United States. So I was in a stream when someone said that there was too much conflict for the global South to unite, and I was like, have you ever thought about who's creating all those conflicts?
Yeah.
That's why I hope that, like, I really, really hope that what we're experiencing right now is like a second wave, like pink tide. That's what I really hope. I really hope that like South America and Central America can finally like come together, right? And like, you know, cast out fucking all the you know, the great Satan.
The devils.
Yes.
Sorry, I gotta pee real quick.
Man, gotta pee pretty often tonight. Which reminds me, chat, if you're of like a certain age, you know, maybe you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your late 30s, it might be time to start like, you know, booking, you know, a doctor's appointment, right, to get your prostate checked. It's important to get your prostate checked, you know, at least, you know, what, I think like every 5 years after you turn 35 or something. And, you know, can really like save your life. Don't wait. Do it today. I really hope South America keeps going left. I hope we get to a point where Lula is dragged to the guillotine for being a reactionary. Whoa, 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 whoa. What?
What's happening? What did I miss?
I don't know. Something about Lula being dragged to a guillotine? Why? Why Lula?
Wait, stop. Don't start. Will you just wait?
Just stop.
Are they saying that they hope that happens or it is happening?
He says, I really hope it happens. Yeah, hope we get to a point where Lula is dragged to the guillotine for being a reactionary. No offense to Lula. I like him personally.
I just want his head removed from his body.
I like him. I just want to see him beheaded. All right. So I also did like a PSA about getting your prostate checked. Look, there's no reason to be scared about like a little finger, you know, like it's fine. It takes like 5 seconds, you know, you'll never even know it was there. I want to live in a world where I am most rich. Oh, is that it? Wait. Hang on. Is that what you were kind of getting at? Potate King? Is that like you want to like live in a world where like Lula is actually like super reactionary?
Yeah, I think that's what they were getting at, where it's like even he will be looked at as like, you know, I'm not a you know, yeah, I don't really do the whole like I don't really make jokes like the guillotines and the walls and things like that because I think it gives kind of our movement a little bit of a bad name that you know worse than it already has. But I understand overall the point that you're making. I agree with.
And like, you know, Sebs, look, if there's one thing that we've done on this stream that makes everybody mad and sad on both sides, right? It's that not every like, you know, guy trying to do the good stuff is going to do good things all the time. All right? Castro's going to be a little homophobic, so is Stalin, you know, so is Mao probably, so is probably Sankara. Like everybody's a little homophobic. Just like the gays are just getting fucked on every side, but like, you know,
not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to come at you directly for that or saying that you were like emphatically calling for the death of Lula. And I'm sorry if it came out like that to anybody in chat. So, yeah, no, the sentiment that you're saying, I agree with. I get it.
I look, I just think that, like the idea that like, you know, that like, you know, it's going to be great the whole time and they're going to do all the right things and have all the right takes probably isn't going to happen. Who's the guy that just got like overthrown by like the military in like what was it, Argentina or Chile? Oh, fuck.
Peru?
God damn it. Peru, that was it.
How are you going to disgrace Sebs in our chat by not knowing about Castillo being overthrown? Yes, that was when we were first starting out, and I think that's like somebody in the chat was like, "Oh, hey, you know, there's a streamer that we all know who streams out of Peru that was talking about it," and I didn't even know Seb's name at that time, and now I know that's probably who they were referring to, and I think they might have linked like videos from the Twitter or something like that.
What do you mean? Wow, Johnny? Wow! Like my wife did handing me dinner.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, I'm okay.
Your wife handing you dinner is the most reactionary
I'm just handing
thing.
you Chinese food that I did not prepare.
You're doing great.
You are a real communist.
Oh, me too.
You've been handing your wife dinner while she has a nice time with her husband, with her boyfriend.
What? I can't wait.
I said your wife handing you. I said with your wife, are you fucking Andrew Tate? I said your wife handing you dinner is the most reactionary thing. If you were a real communist, you would be handing your dinner to your wife while she's on a date with her boyfriend.
Yeah, right. It's fucking. God damn it. Yeah, no, I can't wait for that. You know, like some like fucking lowly fucking Twitch streamer with like, you know,
You fucking Andrew Tate.
I thanked her. I told her I love her. What do you want from me? Fucking god damn it. Yeah, no, I can't wait.
Friday's full effect. We are really in the Friday vibes today.
People are gonna come after me and be like, he makes his wife like, you know, hand him food. It's like
slave woman. I, on the other hand, just ordered Grubhub for me and my girlfriend. As a good slave man.
Yeah.
To the gynocentric household that we live in.
Are you tipping 20%?
Yeah.
All right.
You don't believe me?
I believe him. Sinchao, I can't tell you how many times we've been streaming and I can hear my stomach and I'm worried that my mic is going to pick it up. I tip 20% because it's the right thing to do. I'm not using the lover boy method. That's my wife.
Wow. Pat obligating his partner what to eat without letting her decide. I thought you were feminist. Shake my head. Our facade is coming undone here, Johnny. We tried to parade we tried to capture leftist clout for money, for fucking money, because this is where really the money is. This is we knew that this was the grift to so we could fill our pockets and we could buy Hassan mansions. But chat was too perceptive of our misogyny. We couldn't hold it back.
I'll never know what foie gras tastes like now.
Dude, I've never eaten that shit. And like, not even like from like a vegan aspect, a vegan like ethic or something.
You know,
like
that's just fucked up, bro.
So it just sounds so gross. It's like liver, right? It's like fatty liver from a duck. Like that just sounds.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of
fatty liver from a force-fed duck, and like everything about it is just like, I don't know if I can eat that. Like I
take all the cruelty aside, because I don't even think that's that much crueler than what happens in factory farms, to be honest. Like
I get it. Yeah.
But like I don't eat like regular liver. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like sounds like a gross thing.
Pat's gonna start screaming fucking Earth Crisis lyrics any minute now.
Firestorm. Brick by street by street, block by block.
Yeah, chat. If you've never listened to Earth Crisis, what are you doing?
Yeah, what the fuck? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Yeah, caviar also sounds super gross to me. Like, I don't know how rich I'd have to be, to be like, oh, let me suck down some fish eggs for the cultural capital, or what's that called? What's that called? Consumer capital? What's that called? Conspicuous capital is what it's known as. I don't even know who this person is. This is the first chat. Finally,
I mean, like, look, chatter, we love you. All right, you have a special place in our heart right now. I asked Pat the other day, like, hey, should we start adding like more punk? Like, should I add like, you know, some like Drop Dead or something, like, you know, to the hype playlist that we never play because we never get hype trains because nobody ever fucking subscribes.
We got the hype train earlier, but we were like literally we were gonna railroad Marcus. You know,
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I finally added more broccoli.
I'm sure, Comrade Petty, I'm sure if that I was raised eating stuff like that, I would feel like it wouldn't bother me. But just the fact that I didn't, like, I'm just like, and I'll admit, I'm a pansy. I was in Guatemala, and when I went to Guatemala, I went with some Guatemalan kids from Guatemala City. I just said Guatemala like 10 times, but we went down into this food market, and they all got like these like blood liver tacos, and I wouldn't eat it. And I felt like such like a, you know, like an American, you know, just very pris and like I won't eat that. But like, yeah, I didn't want to eat it. It seemed very gross to me.
My first wedding, I had tripe, and it was the nastiest fucking thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Drop dead fucking rules, man.
Drop dead fucking rules. Fucking, I was at that one show, I think in like Philly or something, where like the drummer like almost had a heart attack and they had to end the set early.
Drop Dead did?
Yeah,
In Philly in like 2015, maybe.
we might have been at that fucking show together and not even known it.
Battle on Broad Street.
I think I don't remember, man. It's been so long.
Oh, I've had Masago on sushi before, and that didn't bother me that much. But I actually don't like sushi at all, to be honest with you. I tried like forcing myself to eat sushi a couple times, but like what I realized is that I really just like eel sauce and spicy mayo. And you can really put it on anything, honestly. If you just put eel sauce and spicy mayo on like rice and seaweed, I actually like that better than like regular sushi.
Look, you're not wrong, but it's just like you're also kind of wrong. But SRA is an automatic name on what? Look, if you're in the SRA or the John Brown Gun Club, if you're not the Fed, someone in the chapter is.
How do you do, fellow revolutionaries?
Exactly. Like that fucking one dude, God damn it, from like Colorado or whatever, that's just like, I was in the Peshmerga with the YPG, a PPK. Did you hear about that, dude?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, hey, Sebs, when I was in, I didn't realize they were talking about, Sebs, when I was in Peru, I ate alpaca. I didn't eat the guinea pig. I didn't like the guinea pig though, because it came out whole. But I did eat alpaca steak while I was there. Ashfish alpaca is yummy. I actually thought it didn't taste that much different than like a cow steak when I ate it. It was very good.
God damn.
And then I had ceviche, obviously, a few times when I was out there, and I chewed the coca. Cool, funny thing. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. When I landed at the Cusco airport, they have a bowl of coca leaves as you're getting off the plane. You know that like connecting tube that takes you from the plane, into the actual airport building. They had a bowl of coca leaves just right there, and they're like, "Here you are, you fucking tourists, munch it up." Yeah, in Cusco, yeah, it's pretty much like I think they really cater to the tourists coming through. Yeah, when I went to Lima, it wasn't like that.
Does anybody have a link for the guy that like was the informant in Colorado that got all those DSA kids like fucking arrested? During
Yes,
like the
But when I did the 4-day hike up to Machu Picchu, and every morning they woke us up not with coffee but with coca leaf tea, and then they would give us coca leaf so that we didn't get altitude sickness. So yeah, that's.
Did you have to call your sponsor?
And also Cusco is all in itself like also like way up in elevation, so you hang out there for a few days before you actually make the trek up, so you can start to stabilize. No, it didn't feel like a relapse at all. Honestly, coca leaves affect you like less than like an energy drink or like a double shot of espresso. Like it's really a very mild situation when you're chewing it or drinking it like tea.
Maybe you just need to chew more. Just need to have like, fucking Ace Ventura, like amount of leaves in my mouth. God damn it. I'm trying to find the link of like the fucking informant out of Colorado Springs that got all those kids arrested. Because it's the funniest shit.
Oh, Jesus. I got pulled over in Peru for having an ounce of weed by guerrilla commandos, and they let me go because I was with a volunteer group. At least they let me go.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
You're
Ross. Thank
You're
you. Where's the fucking video? There's like a video, isn't there?
You got to share the stream.
Yes. All right. I don't know. Wait, my audio is probably not going to play, right?
Try it. I can't hear it. Send it to me. Send it in the
Damn
chat.
it.
Send it in the chat.
This guy is so cop. It's oh shit. It is literally
Good evening or good morning. It's September the 3rd, 2020, roughly about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was notified by some people that I know that are in group.
So there I was, defending the proletariat.
it's like, bro, you're doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Individual that posted a link involving stating some things about me, which I'm going to clarify tonight.
What flag is that? What flag is that behind him?
That's the YPG, bro.
From that's the Kurds,
Kurdish. Yeah.
These 3 things that I'm going to address to you are going to basically be truth, the bullshit, and the core of the subject. So there's a group that, or a individual that's claiming that they are Antifa Colorado Springs. And in fact, that I believe that they are actually not Antifa Colorado Springs, because I believe they are actually a cop. This individual has posted stuff discrediting other individuals that are fighting against the fascists in Denver, Colorado, such as Cutting the Plastic and other communist groups and other individuals. I, for one, am not amused or pleased about the fuckery that's going on. I will clarify some things, and I'm going to address some things real fucking quick. And this is not scripted.
Yes, it is.
I am a Peshmerga soldier. I am a PKK soldier, and I am a YPG fighter. The fact that you would post on your site talking about how proud you are and how much you support my people and my comrades, but you bash
your people?
Bash my people by saying that they don't know what they're doing, like they didn't vet me or check me out. It's a complete disrespect to my people and to my heritage of Kurdistan.
Pause it. Yeah, he's about to go into like the little bit of like Arabic he still has memorized. First of all, they're not your people. You're not Kurdish. You're a white boy that went on safari. And as far as they're concerned, what the fuck do they care? It's like, all right,
I mean, I don't go out to like this like conflict zone and drinking name brand whiskey and smoking cigars and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, he's not there anymore, obviously.
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
yeah, he got busted for basically being an informant for the FBI, and he was trying to convince like all these DSA kids during like the BLM protests out in Colorado to like basically like hey, you want to buy some guns? And like yeah, you like, you know, let's do protracted people's war or some dumb shit. Also, look at the Arabic tattoos around his fucking wrist.
So when you sit there and you run your fucking mouth online and you're talking and discrediting my people, my warriors, my fellow comrades,
You're not Kurdish.
And I am fucking proud of it. I ain't fucking perfect by any means necessary, so don't get that fucked up. I am a former career criminal. I am a former outlaw biker, and I don't hide that from nobody. But I am also a Kurdish freedom fighter and a Kurdish soldier.
I'm also a homosexual.
I'm going to address the situation. People running their fucking mouth on the internet calling me a pedophile. You can hide behind an anonymous website and an anonymous profile talking all that shit about. I'll tell him to his face, no, you won't, because at the end of the day, you come to me, I got something for you.
The fucking hammer, like the littlest little ball peen hammer like ever. He has a fucking like. I'm sorry, I'm not a gun guy. Is that an M16?
No, it's an AR.
AR. He has an AR behind him, and he's like, "You want to come for me? You know what I got? Bing. That's what you're gonna get, and you come to me."
Yeah, it's not even all like tacticaled out. Which
is
shocking.
When he said that, I was like, wait, that's not how those words work, right? Like, oh, Dave said it too. I'm not perfect by any means necessary. Like, There's
What?
two different things. I'm not this by any means, or you can say I'll do something by any means necessary. But he's like,
Did like
I'm
an
not doing
AI
it by
come
any
up with this script?
dude. The little hammer, like the hammer is such like a little joke thing too. For like, I feel like when people that have like never been part of like crime or war or something like write like a script about it, they're like, yeah, the guy has a hammer. Like that's like I was watching The Wire recently, right? And there's a couple scenes in The Wire where these guys out on like the blocks in Baltimore, they go to war with like baseball bats or something like that. And I'm like, bro, in Baltimore or like Philly or the drug lords, like, nobody's coming up to any block with a bat. Like you know what I mean? That
You
does
got a
not
gun.
Maybe that happened in the '60s when like the street ruffians would get into their little fisticuffs. Somebody would break out a bat or something like that. But like in the 21st century, in the East Coast, in these cities where there's these drug markets and things like that, this kind of like, yeah, well, I got something for that. They pull out a baseball bat. Like you are so far from what is actually happening that like you can tell that you're like living out some fantasy right now.
What, are you gonna make him run into the outfield?
Yeah, this guy with his little
Also,
head.
look at his fucking hammer. It doesn't even look like it's used. Like,
Yeah.
did you even use that for anything? You like spent all that time wrapping it around with like the cord and shit, and you don't even use it? What are you framing?
I can picture it. Here's this
Besides
hammer.
DSA kids.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is something out of an Andy notebook or something like that. It's like, well, you see, they symbolically use the hammer because it's part of the hammer and sickle logo and iconography, so they use it. It's their insignia when they insult someone and when they assault someone.
This motherfucker wants to be all like, oh, I'm a fucking like tactical this or that. Bro, you live in a state where you can have a can and you don't even have one on your gun. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Plus, is that Jack Daniels even open? And what the fuck is up with the cup? Is that Coke? What is that? Is
Yeah,
that
and
wine?
Jack Daniels in that it's like a drop.
What did you just like take a taste?
Yeah, if you were a hard ass, you'd be drinking Four Loko right now.
Exactly. Real hard asses drink Four Loko or like Steel Reserve.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. I am the type of individual, I don't give a fuck about going to prison. I don't give a fuck about
Sure.
being killed because believe me, I've fought ISIS or Daesh. I fought Al Qaeda. I fought Abu Shabi. I fought in Iraq and I fought in Syria. I've trained real Antifa freedom fighters in both those regions. And I am certainly not fucking scared of you. At the end of the day, I put it to you like this.
Dave, it's almost worse. Like, I see your point, but also it's like when I was like at my worst of alcoholism, I would drink the aftermarket Four Loko, not because it got you jazzed up on caffeine, but just because there was no cheaper way to get drunk than a $2.50 Arizona iced tea can full of 12% alcohol. So it's like that's even like the mark of an even lower bottom alcoholic. Where they're like, I don't even care about all the fanciness. I know that this is just the cheapest and most disgusting, vile way that I can get drunk for a couple quarters.
Exactly. And that Coke looks flat as fuck. Bro, you drinking flat Coke and Jack? What the fuck?
How many takes did this guy go through that his Coke isn't even
He's filming it at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I assume that like what did he like start at midnight, you know? Like
he's like, all right, we're gonna get this. Come on, Larry.
Oh my god.
I've been to war.
I've been to war.
I've been to prison riots. And I've been on
Prison riots you've been in.
violent situations on the street.
If this dude had really been in prison, you can just pull that up. Like if there's evidence that like, people that have been to prison, there's a record of that and mugshot photos and things like that. Like if that was real,
Dude, I'm not getting in trouble at work fucking doing that shit.
Johnny, I need you to
not doing that.
I don't come from a very good background, but the Kurds gave me a second chance in life, and I respect that, and I'm honored to have that. So in the video, I will be posting pictures.
Maybe as a guard, yeah.
He would be a
I am
CO.
not a pedophile. I was 19 years old and dated a girl who said she was 18 years old. Actually lied about her age.
Right.
Pedophile attacking your kids.
Can you pause it real quick? Can you pause it? As a guy that works with a lot of dudes that are getting out of prison, there's more than a couple that have certain charges that are relevant to what this guy is talking about.
Yeah.
They all say this shit.
Yeah.
It's always, oh, she fucking lied.
Yeah. Bruh.
You're a fucking slow-mo, bro.
If I was, and a new word I learned because I'm not the smartest person on the planet, but I love to learn. When you call me the term of basically calling me an individual that does not respect women and that I treat women as trash or that I hate them, I think my 8 sisters.
What word? What was the word in that he learned?
I think what he's trying to say is that, like,
misogynist?
I can't. No. I can't be a rapist because I have a lot of women that I'm related to directly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that works.
I love the slaves that I have sex with.
Yeah. See, the more women that you're related to, the less misogynist you are, and the less likely you are to be a rapist.
That's science.
Yeah. The more women in your family, the more feminist.
Mm-hmm.
My 3 daughters and my 3 mothers would be very, very concerned about that situation.
Wait. Does he have 3 moms, or does he have 3 different mothers of his children?
I think my 8 sisters, my 3 daughters, and my 3 mothers would be very, very concerned about that situation. Actually, my mother, one of my moms is actually a lesbian, and I love them both.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you know about this. No misogynists have mothers.
No.
Not a single one.
No. Real misogynists, when they have a daughter, they drown her in the fucking tub immediately.
Jesus Christ.
At the end of the day, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, brown, red, yellow, whatever color you are, blue or purple, fucking Pokemon.
Blue or purple.
I don't care
Oh,
if
we're
you're
back to
a man,
that.
woman, transgender, if you're a fucking unicorn. I don't care. But you
What?
have the right to live free and be happy like everybody else. And that's what I stand for. That's why I went and fought Daesh in the Islamic State.
That's why?
I don't give a fuck about the cops and I don't care about the police. But I will tell this to you right now. At the end of the day, I do not agree nor accept fascism. I do not accept and agree oppression. That's what I fought against and that's what I'm still fighting against.
Sure.
I don't care what your background is or what you are. We ain't perfect. We're all human beings. But understand this. If you come to me fucked up, I'm going to fuck you up. Play stupid games.
What is this in response to?
I guess a bunch of people like finally outed him. I can send you the article because Ross sent it in the chat. But basically, he set up a bunch of DSA kids when like the BLM protests were going on to like, damage property or some dumb shit. And he basically got them all arrested. Like he was an informant.
So it's verified that this is all a shit. Like even if
yes.
Even if you couldn't deduct from everything that we're seeing here, there's paperwork that proves that this was all a shit.
Yes. Also, I forget who was asking me about organizing before. Maybe it was Psychroom or something. So when you join an org and you see anybody that looks anything like this or acts anything like this, stay far away. Leave the meeting. Go someplace else. Anybody following him, right? Don't even waste your time. Just walk away. Save yourself the fucking misdemeanor and get out.
He is not taking you anywhere positive.
No, he is. You're gonna have trouble finding work later in life if you fuck with this guy.
Rises. So the thing I tell you this, and it's a simple
I know that's a good point too. Even outside of organizing, just don't talk to people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're at a bus stop, at the grocery store. Just avoid this dude in any of
Yes. Thank you for the subscription, PVK01.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I've had my dick in the dirt. I've been shot, blowing up, and fucking tear gas and all that shit since day.
Listen here, liberal. I've had my dick in the dirt.
I've had my dick in the dirt.
Listen here, liberal. I've had my dick in the dirt. And yeah, I have a statutory rape charge. But let me tell you something. I believe in freedom.
My 3 moms think it's a lie.
Fucking murdered because they're going to the store to buy a soda. I don't want to see lesbians or transgenders getting the shit beat out of
Trans
them.
what?
I think that gay married couples should be able to defend their marijuana plants with AR-15s. That's what I think.
Why does he keep saying transgenders? Motherfucker, this takes like literally like 10 minutes of Googling it.
And
not even.
And all those transsexuals out there. Like,
I don't want to see children getting injured or violated. I'm deeply against that. But understand this.
Oh, I'm glad.
I fought in the war against the Islamic State or Daesh. I killed people.
I fought Bosch.
Is
And the hardest
Daesh
thing I
even
had
still
to
a
do in
thing?
Kurdistan was shoot a dog because it tried to attack me. And I feel bad about that because I love animals. So you should take a mental note. At the end of the day, my skeletons don't hide in a closet. They sit at the table with me and they eat a meal.
Oh, I know. I see.
Nowadays with the cyber world, you can check it out. But be a little smarter. The daily bullshit or the daily beast. People saying, oh, he's wanted by the FBI and all shit. How is that true if I'm sitting here right now smoking a cigar and drinking a bottle of whiskey and fighting against fascism?
Sir, you are not
'Cause
drinking
you're-
that bottle of whiskey. That whiskey is not being
Drank
sick.
it all.
I don't believe the individual that posted this is actually Antifa. I think personally it's a cop.
Yeah, exactly.
Or probably.
I work with them pretty often. I think I would know.
I would know a cop.
And to white supremacist, I can't fucking stand you. I understand you have your right to believe what you believe in, but at the end of the day, I don't agree with you. This propaganda shit.
Wait.
you
Wait.
guys
Wait.
post doesn't mean fuck.
Yeah,
Wait.
there it is.
Wait. This is what I'm fucking talking about, right? When I say that, like, white dudes, that includes Brace Belden. When you go off to like some foreign fucking country to like go fight against Daesh, right, or whatever the fuck, right? You are a white boy on safari, okay? You didn't join the U.S. military, which is even worse, and a lot of them do it too. But like, you know, the fact that you don't feel bad about shooting a person, but you feel bad about shooting an attacking dog, right, means that you have disconnected so fucking hard. And I know we all in chat, like, you know, we're all anti-fascist here, you know, and we all like, you know, have the action movie brain that like, you know, we would be out there like, you know, fighting the good fight against fascism and like, you know, taking down hundreds of Nazis or whatever. It's like killing a person is not like a cool thing, right? No matter what. All right. And like it fucks you up. Right. And like, you know, you think that like the fucking kid that's in Daesh, like, you know, or ISIS, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you think that like, you know, he doesn't have some kind of like, you know, deep lore behind him, and how the fuck did he wind up here? You know? And that's what I don't like about a lot of like, you know, the whole like leftist shtick about like, you know, civil war, balkanization of America and all this other stuff is that like that has a lot of implications for a lot of people that are going to be caught up in the mix that like, you know, just want to live and that's it. And there's a lot of people that are going to use that as an excuse or a period of time to like hurt a lot of people. So I think that's something a lot of people don't really think about.
Oh shit! Sorry, guys. I'm out here yawning. Oh,
Is there more?
Yeah.
To me.
No.
But understand this. I'll be polite and professional, but I have a plan to kill everybody in the fucking room if need to be. You respect me, I respect you. But all this pedophile
Is this a resume?
and all this other shit, check yourself. And another thing, when you're posting shit on
Lest you wreck yourself.
You know how many people show up to protest with GoPros on them? I'm making sure that if I get fucked up or shot or somebody else does, I got proof to make sure that their fucking asses are covered. If you're trying to implicate that I'm a fucking snitch,
This is like a
check this out.
WWE promo.
3 things: I ain't a punk, I ain't a bitch, and I ain't a fucking snitch. You should ask who the real fucking punk or bitch is, or who the real fucking snitch is.
Yes,
So
officer.
at the end of the day, I hope that this cause becomes victorious, that my comrades do what they're supposed to do, and we get what we are here for. Not to bash people and do propaganda bullshit. to get victory for our brothers and sisters who are being fucking persecuted, murdered, tortured, and imprisoned. Biji Kurastani. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call you genius because I don't know what the first part is supposed to say. I don't know, but like these people all think they are main character.
Visual genius.
Oh, visual. Okay, sorry. I don't know why my brain wasn't comprehending that. Visual genius. Yeah, no. Main character syndrome in America is prevalent and toxic.
Yeah. Well, and also just the little things he was saying, like if they were scripting this, they couldn't even get it right. He was like, "Yeah, and white supremacists out there, I know you have the right to say what you're going to say." And it's like, I don't think communists talk like that usually. I think that might be like a point of contention that they're like, "Oh, that was a weird little like caveat to like, hey guys, I get you're just doing what you're doing out there, and you got your right to be doing that. But over here, we fight for Palestinian freedom." Okay.
Not even. He didn't even mention anything about Palestine. He only brought up like, you know, I fought against ISIS and Daesh and there was a Peshmerga and the white PKK. Yeah, no. No, probably not even a LaRouche, although like, you know, if the LaRouches are able to get to him and offer him the right amount of money, maybe. But I don't think he's a LaRouche. I feel like even LaRouches have like better scripts than that. You know, he didn't mention anything about anti-imperialism or anything like that. And they love, you know, co-opting like lefty terms. But this guy thing, this seems like, you know, his script was made for him by somebody who spent like an afternoon on like leftist Twitter and was like, all right, I came up with like the best script ever. They're never going to know.
Watch this.
They'll never know.
Like other than like the little shit, like the lip service to like the Kurds, all of it could have just been like your racist uncle talking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that's literally like a meme. It's like be calm, be cool, but have a plan to kill every person in the room. I wear
What?
Yeah, it's like a meme. It's like a chud meme.
Like the adapt, improvise, drink piss, overcome.
Drink piss. Look.
Yes, that.
Look, this is like a thing. Like,
well, I mean, he was in the U.S. military, I think. Right? Did he ever even say he was in the U.S. military?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, he only ever said like I was a Peshmerga in the white PKK. Peshmerga. I said what I said, David. When absolutely positively gotta unalive every MFer in the room. Absolute, except no substitutes. Is this the one those cop trainers sounds like something that? Yeah, like those, like, you know, have you ever watched any of those videos where like they're like training cops at like, you know, the fucking was like training towns that they have? Have you ever watched any specials like that?
I gotta pee. I'm sorry.
All right. So I remember I was watching Left Flank Vets not too long ago, and like they're training the fucking guy, and like, you know, the guy in like the what's up anarchist laboratory, Sean. So like they're training the fucking guy, and like, you know, he's trying to like, you know, do his best to protect the pretend hostage, right? And like the instructor like screams at him. He's like, no, wrong. You're like your responsibility is not to save the life of the hostage. It's to protect your fellow law enforcement brothers in law enforcement or whatever. And I was just like, oh, that's what they're teaching them. And that's why like they shoot first and figure everything else out later. And that's also why they wind up shooting each other like a lot. Look more biker like. Wait, what do you mean? That wasn't biker enough for you? How is this man? How is this not biker enough for you? He's got the rings, right? He's not one, like, right? He's got both rings, right? He's got his little cord wrapped hammer that he's never. Yes, this guy is that copy pasta like come to life. Except instead of Navy SEAL, is like I was a fucking Peshmerga, you know, with the YPG and the PK.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, he's got his little goblet here. And also the fucking cigar that he's holding, like real weird. I haven't smoked a cigar in forever, but I always held it between like my index and ring finger, like a normal person. Does anybody else here hold? Has anybody else here that has ever smoked in their life ever held like a cigarette or like a cigar or anything, a joint, a blunt, like this in between your ring and index finger?
Yeah, like I'm like he's holding it like this, not like
Yeah.
hey,
No, he's holding it like the Vulcan fucking.
Is anyone
Like,
in the chat more experienced than me in smoking cigars? Is this like the actual tactic? Like if I went to a cigar bar and I held it like this, would people be like? I went to a cigar plant, a tobacco plantation in Cuba, and I smoked a cigar while I was there, and I held it like this. Nobody said anything to me. That's how they do it in Kurdistan.
yeah, that's how they do it in Kurdistan. It's live long and prosper. I learned this in Kurdistan. Some Kurdish kid just like making fun of him. I hold it in my index finger. It's fine. What do you mean? Do you hold it like that?
No,
Potato King? All right, yeah, like that, right?
Finger at all.
Yeah, like a normal person. Every person that has ever smoked a day in their life just hold it between these two fingers, no matter what it is. A blunt, a J, a cigarette, doesn't matter. Yeah, when it gets real short and shit, but like you start off like that, right? And somebody back me up. Chat was about the name of what was the name of that fascist YouTube guy that always have a skull in his videos, always drinking a whiskey or something? This reminds me of that guy. Yeah, I have no idea who the hell you're talking about. This guy drove a silent hearse and 20 guns in his trunk. He would.
Baldwin goes, is that the Big Papa fascist guy who like was on the politically provoked like debate channel for a while?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
All right.
But yeah, also Pat, this is another interesting detail. This guy drove a silver hearse and had 20 guns in his trunk.
Oh, that's not a joke.
No, that's a legit detail. That's a legit detail.
I thought that was just some like quippy commentary.
No, that is a real detail here. Yeah, I'm gonna see. Where is the fucking link? Oh, come on. You're going to make me have to go all the way back through chat to fucking find the link that Ross fucking put up. Hang on. Is Ross still in here? Oh, you're going to make me work. You're making me work, chat. There it is. Thank you, Ross. Oh, a bunch of copy pastas didn't get to go through because I didn't notice because I keep forgetting to look at mod view. I'm sorry.
What happened?
A bunch of people kept sending the same copy of pasta of, what the fuck did you just say about me, you little bitch? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class of the Navy SEALs. I've been involved in numerous secret raids on Al-Qaeda and have over 300 confirmed kills. I trained in a guerrilla warfare and I'm the top sniper in the entire U.S. Armed Forces. You are nothing to me but just another target. I will wipe you the fuck out with precision, the likes of which has never been seen before on this earth. Mark my fucking words. No, I'm sorry, David. No, I meant to. I would allow all of these beautiful, beautiful original copy of pastas. Subversive history and gifting me a subscription. Wonderful. Oh, well, welcome, Glass by Glenn. I hope you like, what we're doing. Normally we read books. We go over them chapter by chapter. We'll do YouTube videos, or God damn it, we'll do like YouTube videos, or like, we'll deep dive on like some historical person, just to give you a little bit more context of who we're talking about and like what the book is talking about. But here we're just fucking like letting shit flow, like,
Yeah,
with
this
the
is the
ADD.
Friday is completely unhinged. We go
Yeah,
feral.
no.
We go
Yes.
feral on Fridays.
Yes, we squeal at the moon like the feral hogs we are. Haugers. I'll have you know I have numerous confirmed kills on fish and later.
Men fear me. Women want me. Fish fear me. What is it? Women want me. Fish fear me.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked it the other way around.
Men fear me. Women want me. Fish fear me. I used fear me twice though.
Fish want me. Men fear me. Women fear me.
Women fear me. Men fear me. Fish fear me.
I think I got you beat, Potate King. I just bought tickets to see fucking Botch in November. Who here wasn't expecting a Botch reunion tour in 2023? Forgot what year it was for a second. Now, here's a better question. Who in chat here knows the band Botch?
I don't actually know that band.
Whatever.
What is it?
Botch?
Yeah, what kind of music is it? A friend of mine, a grind guy I know from Yonkers, posted about it. So I figured it's something pretty cool.
Trying to think. Like, all right, I'll just show you this here if you want to play it. Yeah. This is like the newest song that they've made, after not being a band for like 20 years. No, they did. They made one new song, and like, they made it seem like they weren't going to do a tour at all. They were just getting together for like just funsies, and played with everybody's hearts and minds. And everyone freaked out so hard that they were like, all right, fine. This is the new song.
It's not bad. I like something like
I know, all right, but yeah, no, this is have you ever heard of the band Thursday? They're from New Jersey.
Yeah.
This
Me?
is yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this band United Nations, they have more lawsuits than Black Flag, or more lawsuits than the United Nations themselves. This is his other band, and it's like way better. It's like way crazier. And I believe Jeff Rickley, the lead singer of Thursday and this band United Nations, are also a comrade. What is it? I knew Minus the Bear back from the day I was born. Oh, dude, yeah. Minus the Bear was pretty fun though. It's like it's nice. It's happy Botch,
What other bands would you compare Botch to? I'm just curious.
What other bands would I compare Botch to?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of, like, I think it's pronounced like Newt, but it's like KNUT.
Nah. I remember one time I was looking for a specific kind of music, and you put me on to ISIS, and I liked that band a lot.
Oh, yeah, no, ISIS.
that
Yeah,
album-
ISIS is really good.
That album, Panopticon.
Yeah, Panopticon is really good.
Yeah.
They're more like black metal meets like
I like to listen to that when
bluegrass
I'm,
though.
when I'm doing like work on school, when I'm doing like schoolwork and shit like that, and I'm just kind of zoning out.
Yeah.
I also like to listen to Neurosis when I'm doing that. I know that
They're having a little bit of an interesting time, you know,
there's a tough
dealing with
time
some.
there with Neurosis, but that's something that I would throw on when I'm.
All right. Do you wanna throw on like a, I don't even know, does ISIS even have like, how about Old Man Gloom? Didn't I show you Old Man Gloom?
I don't know how much weird fucking music I want to play. I feel like we
No, I got you.
hemorrhage viewers when we start doing that.
Yeah. All right. I won't play, but I'll throw it in chat for Sean Meat, who's never heard of them.
I'll throw it in the chat for the real metalheads, the real rockers and headbangers out there.
You should be like happy that we have somebody in chat that knows like who the fuck Drop Dead is or Earth Crisis. Like,
I am happy. I never said I wasn't happy. I just, you know, I see the number go down when music starts playing.
I mean, we've also been on for about like 3.5 hours, and normally I think that's actually the first time we had a guest that wasn't able to stick around for the entire like 4 hours.
Normally, the guests, we just get like way deep into like whether it's Dave or Nate or now Horse only hung out for a little bit when he came on. Who else was? Oh, Rick stayed with us the whole time. We talked to Rick the whole time.
Yeah, Rick went off, man, and that's kind of like what I wanted and what I expected of him.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently that show's already sold out. I have a friend in New York that was like said he couldn't get tickets to it.
Tell him to get the one in what the fuck is it? Starland.
Okay.
I think that one just got added today. So. And
what
like
is Morbin Freeman? I know it's a play on Morbin Freeman. What is Morbin?
That's Marcus.
Yeah, I know who it is, but what does Morbin mean?
All right. Do you know the orb meme?
Yeah, like pondering my orb.
Yeah, pondering my orb. Okay, now do you know Morbius, the movie with Jared Leto?
No.
It's like a combination of that, but it's mostly just Morbius.
I like it. We're getting real deep in the weeds here.
My favorite part of Battleship Potemkin is when they started morbing all over the place. When he morbs. It's one of those great works of our times, but okay, he's never heard of it. Indigenous Guatemalan culture and customs. I think I still have the link for Rick's Google Drive. Do you want the Google Drive?
Well, I mean, I would recommend a book called Blood of Guatemala. There might be like some people from here. I'll be right back. I'll grab the books. Hold on.
He's grabbing a book, folks. So I don't know. I haven't checked to see if there's anything specifically about Guatemala in here, but it's worth checking out. Why did Johnny look so good? What? What are you talking about? Jared Leto gives me sleep paralysis. He should. Jared Leto's like the head of a cult. Find a topic Pat doesn't have a book for, but it is not this day. No. I mean, I don't know if you caught me saying to, in the middle of Pat and Marcus talking that like he does that. He makes good points a lot.
Hey, okay. So what I would recommend if you wanted to learn about indigenous issues in Guatemala, and I'm not an expert on this, and these are English. So this one, Greg Gandon has a book called Blood of Guatemala. I'm coming. So first one is Blood of Guatemala: A History of Race and Nation by Greg Gandon. This one is about how over the second half of the 20th century, the Guatemalan state slaughtered more than 200,000 of its citizens. In the wake of this violence, a vibrant pan-Mayan movement has emerged, one that is challenging Ladino, aka non-indigenous nations, of citizenship and national identity. So the Blood of Guatemala, Greg Gandon locates the origins of the ethnic resurgence in the social process of 18th and 19th century state formation rather than in the ruins of the national project of the recent decades. So this one, Blood of Guatemala, I'm trying to find the ones that are like kind of outside of like the ones that revolve around the coup in the 1950s, because that's what a lot of like, English literature is about. So that's like a good one there. This one is actually by a Guatemalan, La Patria de Criollo, which is the land of the Criolla, like the Creole kind of, by a Marxist, Severo Martinez Pelaez. This is like a very popular book in Guatemala. This one's about kind of like the liberal revolution in Guatemala, but as it pertains to the indigenous. So that one again is La Patria de Criollo is actually how it's pronounced. And then just one that I just really love this book. It's called Silence on the Mountain. This one does have a lot to do with the coup and the Civil War and everything like that. But it's like a journalist who went out and lived in Guatemala for a while. I think he's of Guatemalan descent, but he's an American. And this is actually a really excellent book for like visiting indigenous communities and getting like a perspective. Other than that, there's also Rogoberta Menchu, who I know we spoke about on here before. She has a book called I, Rogoberta. And it's like a memoir of hers that talks about her experience as an indigenous person, and she's an indigenous rights activist. I have that book downstairs. I just forgot to grab it, but Rogoberta Menchu. I hope that was a sufficient answer.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this book that fucking Rick just interviewed the author of about like Mexican indigenous issues. He was talking about it a lot on the episode where we had him on.
Hmm.
What the hell is it called? What went down? Kim Tallbear, Daryl LaRoe.
Not specifically Guatemala, but Mexico and Salvador. Indigenous issues are covered in Fresh Banana Leaves by Jessica Hernandez. That sounds pretty cool.
Let me see if I can just pull it up. This Trevino brings plenty. Is it this one? I'm sorry, I'm having a real hard time trying to find this book.
It's not even necessarily about Guatemala, right?
No, it's about Mexico, because Sean, I think it was, that said, yeah, not specifically Guatemala, but Mexico and Salvador indigenous issues are covered in Fresh Banana Leaves and Jessica Hernandez. About the race shifting or whatever you want to call it. There's this guy that talks about like neo-Indians and pretty much how in order for Mexico to get out of having to do anything for indigenous people in Mexico, they had the whole program where it's just like, oh, well, if everybody's a little indigenous, then we don't have to do anything for any of them because we're all indigenous here, right?
Man, I've never even heard of fresh banana leaves. I gotta pull this up.
You found a book that Pat does not own.
Indigenous science.
I really want to go back to school, man. I think I want to like try and go back to school for something to do with like indigenous issues, but it's just like, what can I get a degree? And that would
Probably
be
some
like,
kind of law, to be honest. Like you just got a decent law degree, and you could potentially leverage that to help communities in their legal or like issues.
do you think that would be better?
I assume someone has to represent them when there is like some type of a dispute between them and the like U.S.
Yeah.
courts.
So I guess that means like I probably should not get the bachelor's in history then.
Well, I have a close friend of mine who did get a bachelor's in history and is currently in law school and got a scholarship into law school after he got a bachelor's in history.
Huh.
And I think you know who I'm talking about, so you can reach out to them and ask.
I think I do want to kind of like hit him up and ask him about that. I have my career set up. I have my veterans benefits that would let me go if I wanted. I would probably study sociology and political science if I did go. I mean, that's the thing is that like I'm coming to a point in my life where like, my aspiration of like wanting to be like a college professor is sort of seeming like one that's going to be a hard road, hard time to teach the kind of things that like I would want to teach, Like I wouldn't be able to do the kind of things or cover the kind of material that like, I love talking about with you all as like a college level history teacher, I feel like.
It depends on what you really want to talk about.
This kind of shit. What we do every week.
I think you have to be a little bit. I think you do have to kind of have like impartiality. You know what I mean when you do it, because like, for example, like I can tell that sometimes that I go directly against some of my professors in terms of like maybe what they believe, because I've had them talking about how much they love reading the biographies of Truman and things like that, and Churchill and things like that, and then when I write an essay about how I think that the Truman Doctrine was immoral and despicable and all these things, I still get good grades on it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, as long as it's well researched and well sourced and well written, then like it beats all the rubric points. You know what I mean? Like you have to, allow, so you can like present it in an impartial way, and then I don't think you can go like full screaming commie in there. Like you can't make it.
No, I know. I figured.
You can't like I don't think teaching history should be like propaganda. Like maybe like in our case it is.
Oh, we are absolutely propaganda. I just think that, we need to make more propaganda.
Stronger, faster.
Stronger, better, faster, stronger. Reality has a left bias for better or for worse.
Yeah, it's not our fault that reality is Marxist.
Exactly. But I mean, like, look at like what happened to Parenti's academic career, and he was living in like the fucking 90s and shit.
Patat King said you have to just get a tenure and refrain from criticizing Israel. I'm pretty sure that's exactly why Cornel West no longer has I think he may have had a tenure, or maybe he didn't. But Cornel West was let go from Harvard because of his criticism of Israel.
Look what happened to fucking Norman Finkelstein. Oh, that's what I meant to bring up to fucking Marcus. He's on like this really old episode of this fucking like other podcast stream thing. I think it's This Is a Revolution or something like that. And I was trying to find this old episode of, you know, Norman Finkelstein speaking, and then I noticed who's in like one of the cameras. It's fucking Marcus from Left Flank Vets.
No way.
Yeah, but he's like looks like a baby. He's like his dreads are like way shorter and shit. Like, oh yeah, and that's also an episode where Norman Finkelstein kind of has some hot takes about pronouns and academia and whatnot. And it's like, you know, I'm sure we all want to be like, well, fuck him, right? Dude, you got to post that in Left Flank chat when you find it. No, I think I already did, I think. But no, it's funny because one of the hosts actually like kind of takes him to task about it, you know, and that's like one of the things that I got out of that conversation of like Norman Finkelstein being like, you know, kind of held accountable and been like, you know, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Is that like he hasn't worked in like close to 10 years because of his views, is that he will not apologize for and he will not retract anything. And that like, you know, he's just like, I guess in his house all day.
I love that, dude. I wish. Well, I love what I've seen on YouTube. I haven't actually read any of his books yet.
Right. And I'm sure it's good. You know, the same way that like I was almost certain that before I read Gerald Horne, just from his interviews alone, that I was like, his books are good. Yeah, either ignorantly or willfully, doesn't matter when the material results are the same. It's like, if they are doing the job of the CIA, does it matter if they are actually CIA? Yeah, and
Well,
that's like, you know,
that's actually exactly when we looked up. We were talking about inventing reality, and I pulled up some quotes from this book called "Inside the Company." It's a book by one of the whistleblower ex-CIA, and there's a lot of like. Okay, so there's this thing called Echelon magazine, right?
What?
What?
That sounds like some Jack Reacher fucking Tom Clancy shit.
Let me look. So there's this magazine. Damn it! Hold on, I can't. And maybe that's not what it was called, but it was a New Left magazine, from the International Information Research Department. Hold on, I'll pull it. So, kind of with what you were saying, like if you're doing the work of the CIA, you know what I mean? Like, do you actually have to be the CIA? If you look at Encounter, that's what it's called. If you look at Encounter magazine, it published in the United Kingdom. It was a largely Anglo-American intellectual and cultural journal, originally associated with the anti-Stalinist left. So this is and look, the magazine was rarely critical of American foreign policy, but beyond this, editors had been considerable publishing freedom. It was edited by Stephen Spender from 1953 to 1966, and he resigned after it emerged that the Congress of Cultural Freedom, which published the magazine, was being covertly funded by the CIA. So you have editors of the magazine putting out this and believing that what the information that they're receiving was the truth. Like, the magazine itself was not a CIA black propaganda operation. The magazine itself was a well-meaning, like, oh, we're just this left of center magazine we associate with the anti-Stalinist left, but they're being funneled, information from covert funding from the CIA. And it was sort of the point that even the editor, like, once he realized it, he was like, oh my God, I had no idea that I was shilling for the CIA this entire time.
Well, yeah, there's more than a couple people that happened to during the whole 1950s and shit, with like the Iowa Writers Workshop and like a bunch of like NED funded stuff that before anybody really knew what the NED was really about. And like even James Baldwin, he didn't know that like the CIA was like boosting like, his book fucking numbers and shit like that. It happened to people that like didn't even know or weren't even aware of it.
Who's Silver L?
I don't know, but I just followed them. Figure if they're ever online, you know, when we're ending, we'll just raid out to them. I trust Sam's judgment. You know, I trust our mods.
One of our most trusted confidants.
It's a lot of NGOs who do a lot of horrible stuff without realizing, right? I forget what the fuck it is. There's like this thing called like it's not, is it like, I know the CIA one is Voice of America, right? But there's this other thing that's called the VOA that like a lot of people that are homeless or just getting out of prison, we like, you know, kind of refer them to help them like get work and shit. Volunteers for America. Or of America. Yeah, I guess it would be Volunteers of America because it's VOA. Workshops of Empire goes into the Iowa Writers Workshop. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were never aware that like, oh, you know, I'm signing up to basically be part of like a fucking psyop. Like, I don't know if Jackson Pollock ever actually knew. IRD. Oh, IRD. Here we go. It's been a minute. It's been at least 2 episodes since we mentioned the IRD, right?
That's where I got this from. This is the IRD page.
Of course.
Oh, I didn't even have a book that talked about this magazine. I just found this on here. We were reading Inventing Reality by Perenni, but Perenni didn't mention this specifically. But when we were talking about that book, that's when I discovered this and started kind of finding more information on all this. Actually, it was actually when I was reading about Orwell that I found this stuff. But I actually don't know any specific book that covers the IRD.
So, one of the reasons here's something for you, Potate King, right? We charge genocide. Petition submitted to the United Nations, right? And we talk about Paul Robeson pretty often here, right? So on December 17th, 1951, Paul Robeson and William Patterson submitted a petition from the Civil Rights Congress to the United Nations titled "We Charge Genocide, the Crime of Government Against the Negro People." The petition was signed by almost 100 U.S. intellectuals and activists. Robeson led a delegation to present the document at the UN headquarters in New York, while CRC Secretary Patterson delivered it to the UN meeting in Paris. W.E.B. Du Bois was scheduled to accompany Patterson to Paris, but the U.S. State Department prevented him from leaving the country. Shocking. The book-length petition documented hundreds of lynching cases and other forms of brutality, discrimination, evincing a clear pattern of government inaction and complicity. So I don't know if anybody remembers, especially during the first chapter when we started The Sword and the Shield, right? We were talking about how a lot of people, a lot of Black Americans, moved in this thing called, what was it called? What it's referred to as? The Great Migration. Right, and that Great Migration was occurring, right? That's not actually him speaking in that House of Un-American Activities video for taking. That's actually Darth Vader. That's James Earl Jones reading.
But I believe he's actually reading the transcript, right? I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think it's like. I don't think he took liberties with it. I think that's actually
no. Yes, that is
but
the transcript of
that on street.
Yes, we have played that on stream. So, like, you know, they brought this petition to the UN, right? Because of the amount of people that were being lynched every single fucking day, right? And that, like, you know, it charged that 85 years since the end of slavery, 1865. This is 1951, so less than 100 years. More than 10,000 African Americans were known to have been lynched, an average of more than 100 per year, and that the full number can never be known because the murders are often unreported, right? The only reason they're actually probably able to even to report this number of 10,000 is because local newspapers would fucking advertise it like it was an ice cream fucking social. They're like, we're gonna be lynching so and so this Sunday after church.
And just,
you know,
just to come up with it, can I just steal the screen for 1 second? It's just for like,
Yeah, go. Yeah.
and just to go on that lynching thing, just to like talk about how it is. This is, if you ever read it, Revolutionary Suicide by Huey Newton, he mentions this, but this Great Migration, his family lived in Louisiana and then migrated, and he ended up in the Bay Area. But if you look at this, Monroe is located in Louisiana's Ochata Parish, which is history of violence against blacks since Reconstruction. According to a 2015 report by the Equal Justice Initiative, from 1877 to 1950, a total of 37 black people were documented as lynched in that parish. Most murders had taken place around the turn of the 20th century. This was the 5th highest total of lynchings of any county in the South. So just where Huey Newton was growing up, or where his family was from, and that's just one county. That's one county in all of, or a parish, as I would say, where this level of lynching was happening.
So the petition cited the UN's definition of genocide, which, remember, wasn't a thing you could charge a country with, or even a word, I think, until after World War II, or right around that time, because of this thing that happened during that time. The petition cited the UN's definition of genocide. Any intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, racial, or religious group is genocide. The petition concluded, therefore, that the oppressed Negro citizens of the United States, segregated, discriminated against, and long the target of violence, suffer from genocide as a result of the consistent, conscious, unified policies of every branch of government. If the General Assembly acts as the conscience of mankind and therefore acts favorably on our petition, it will have served the cause of peace. With the Cold War raging, the U.S. government maneuvered to prevent the United Nations from formally debating or even considering the charges brought in the petition. Remember, the U.S. has veto power at the UN. Working behind the scenes, they were able to prevent any discussion of the petition by the UN Commission on Human Rights. So when you ask, right, where the fuck is it that sent me on this goddamn rabbit hole? Stuff like Amnesty International routinely criticizing human rights abuses across seas, but not really at home for some reason. This is fucking why. Because it will inevitably lead to, us having to acknowledge the fact that the U.S. has a long storied history of not just black people being systemically, consistently being discriminated against, murdered, but also indigenous people.
It was like the United States and like Australia that were like, no, we won't recognize that.
Oh, Australia.
Hey, Potato King, I tell you what, we fucks with your vibes also. Thank you for being here.
The White Australia policy is a term encapsulating a set of historical policies that aim to forbid.
I didn't realize you subbed also. Thank you, Potato King, for the sub. We appreciate that.
Oh, fuck. I need to be watching Mod View a little bit more. But thank you for the sub, Potato King. Oh, fuck. I am looking at the wrong fucking screen. God damn it.
Jeez.
We're still so fucking new at this. The White Australia policy is a term encapsulating the set of historical policies that aim to forbid people of non-European ethnic origin, especially Asians, primarily Chinese, right, and Pacific Islanders from immigrating to Australia. The people that are closest to the continent.
Yeah. We are
Governments progressively dismantled such policies between 1949 and 1973. And I believe they had one that literally lasted up until the 1990s. World War II, post-war immigration, relaxation of restrictions. British program has two components: skilled family migrants humanitarian program by 20 post-war immigration program receiving. Arrived in Australia. Hey, now Australia is just a mini US. Well, yeah, we cooed the Australian government.
Did we?
Yeah. Prime Minister
What do you
Gu
drink?
Whitlam. What?
What is that glass?
It's a yard glass, Pat.
Is that what they do in Australia? Is that an Australia thing?
I don't know all the components of Australian culture, but I'm gonna go with yes. Is this the one that disappeared into the sea? CIA and MI6 made sure he paid the price. Blah blah blah. Australian policy by Chevy. Re-elected second term. Showed up top secret telex message. Theodore Shackley, notorious head of CIA's East Asia division, who helped run the coup against Salvador Allende in Chile 2 years earlier.
Wait, what did it say about Allende?
On November 10th, 1975, Whitlam was shown a top secret telex message sourced to Theodore Shackley, the notorious head of the CIA's East Asia division, who had helped run the coup against Salvador Allende in Chile 2 years earlier. Shackley's message was read to Whitlam. It said that the Prime Minister of Australia was a security risk in his own country. The day before, Kerr had visited the headquarters of the Defence Signals Directorate, Australia's NSA, where he was briefed on the security crisis. On 11 November, the day Whitlam was to inform the Parliament about the secret CIA presence in Australia, he was summoned by Kerr, invoking archaic vice-regal reserve powers. Kerr sacked the democratically elected Prime Minister. The Whitlam problem was solved, and Australian politics never recovered. Yeah, and basically, do I not have U-Block? I thought I did, but it looks like I may not.
I think today's Huey Newton's birthday.
Is it? I just want to show one more thing. Because this is probably one of my favorite things. Oh, shit. It's only like a minute and a half long, so if you can just throw this up real quick.
Throw it up, throw it up. Watch it all fall down. Shall we all?
Her performance at the Super Bowl was great.
The best way to proceed was to get everyone in the one room.
Good thinking.
Okay, you're all right. I'll come straight to the point. This white paper is recommending we spend close to $400 billion over the forward estimates. Now, at some point, the PM is going to be asked a very simple question. In order to protect us from which enemy?
It's so hard to say.
400 billion, pick one. Specifically, Colonel.
An Indo-Pacific regional player.
More specifically?
Indo-Asia Pacific.
That's broader. Who are you leaving out? Country.
Or an unaligned player.
No, a country. One that might threaten us. Just one. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to raise tensions.
Where?
In this room.
You know what? I'll name one and you just nod. China. Yeah. Okay. And what exactly are we protecting?
Strategic interests.
Specifically, Colonel.
Indo-Pacific strategic
Again,
interests.
Brigadier, really specifically.
Indo-Asia strategic
You know what?
interests.
I'll say it and then you nod. Our trade routes. Yeah. And who is our number one trading partner? Sure. China? Yeah. So under this scenario, we're spending close to $30 billion a year to protect our trade with China from China. And that doesn't strike anyone at this table as odd?
Who is this group of? Oh, what like high budget person has like the money to get all those actors together to do that? I'm very glad that they did, but it's just so funny to see like.
But it's just kind of like, it's the just switch Australia with the US, and it's like, all right, so we're spending like, you know, billions, trillions of dollars into like the black hole of the defense budget to defend what? Our trade. Okay. Our trade, and who is our largest trading partner?
That would be China.
All right, so we're spending all of this money on defense to defend our trade routes with China from whom?
China, that's correct.
That is correct. Spy balloons. Chris Brown.
Indo-Pacific interests.
In Indo, what is AUKUS? Fucking what do they call it? Yeah, they recently started calling it something like that, right? The Indo-Pacific something. I remember Vijay Prashad was just like, "What the fuck is that?" All right. So I think do we got anything else? Did you want to go a little into Huey Newton or something for his birthday, or?
I just want to give him a shout out.
All right.
Shout out to the Bull.
I promise at some point, right, we will probably read Huey Newton's Revolutionary Suicide, right? At some point, we will read it. It's going to be a minute. You know, I think that, like, unless we start reading 2 books at a time, it's going to be a little difficult, you know, for us to, you know, read all the books.
We could read 3 books at a time, and we wouldn't be denting the amount of books that I would like to read.
We wouldn't even be denting the amount of books on my desk or yours.
The books that are on my desk are not denting the books that I own. Those are those ones that I'm currently for one reason or another.
China to sanction the U.S. and our entire economy goes belly up overnight. I can't wait for China to sanction the U.S. and then we don't have any more like artillery to sell to Ukraine, except for what we make out of like Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Good old Scranton. Trenton makes, the world takes. Just one page from each book.
Just one page. But how would we select the best page?
That's a good question. The last page.
Yeah, we'll just read the last page of every book. Nothing else. Would we, though? I feel like most of our paper probably comes from China as well. Just imagine China sanctioning the U.S. like the way we sanction like fucking Iran or like Syria or Cuba or the DPRK.
Do you know that thing in Cuba where like if a ship docks in Cuba, it can't dock in the United States for 6 months?
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why.
It's not even just like, hey, your company can't do business, or like it's not even like, hey, you know, American companies can't do business with it. It's like if your ship even goes there, it can't come here for 6 months. You better send that thing over to Europe or something for a little while.
Right. Even though it's like 100 miles away from the U.S.
Yeah, it just makes dealing with Cuba, like even if you didn't morally agree with it, like economically, it's just like, why would you even bother? You know what I mean? If your plan is to make money as an international company, why would you even bother trying to deal with Cuba?
It's like where can we dock instead? How about Venezuela?
Yeah, well, hold on. Let's not get too carried away. Haiti? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Haiti's fine. Do whatever you got to do in Haiti, brother.
But you got to pay us first.
Yeah. You got to pay.
Are you pulling up a link or are you playing Diablo?
Excuse me?
I've been sitting here this whole time thinking you're pulling up a link for like
Why would I be pulling up a link?
Because you said something about it being his birthday, so I thought you were going to pull something up.
You already have something pulled up. I was just saying that it was his birthday. I don't know what else to say about it.
All right. So I think we've run our course here on this Wild Card Friday.
Hell yeah, Dan.
Yes. Pat
I'm not saying I'm currently playing Diablo, and I'm not saying that the ladder reset just happened yesterday and I haven't started a new assassin character. But I'm not saying I'm not doing that.
What's that? What's Thundercat song where he's talking about like playing Diablo or something? U.S. sanctions are not siege warfare. What? Wait, what? Are not siege warfare. It's also a violation of sovereignty of other countries. Oh, okay. Are not only. Okay. I was like,
Also,
Baldwin, is everything all right?
Another thing about that is that even if you're not an American company and you want to do business with Cuba, if you have holdings in the United States, like if you have some subsidiary in the United States, you risk having your assets frozen just for doing business with Cuba, even if you get it from Europe.
Yeah, no, you'll lose everything with the U.S. I mean, dude, just like I think that like to end this on a high note, I think that every country now sees that like it's not impossible.
Take the tiger.
It's not impossible, but we all now see like what the game is. Like if you do what Russia did and you don't do exactly what they tell you, they'll freeze all your accounts, they'll take your money, and they'll try to invade you. And they'll start a proxy war with one of your neighbors. So all right, we got out of people, I don't know if people like to watch people gaming. I don't really watch too many people gaming. So, we've got $27 is just chatting. You got Amius 3. There's fucking Rathbone. Oh, Horse just logged on. All right, you guys want
to? Out of anyone you named, I only know Horse, and so I'm going to advocate for the Horse. I'm a Horse advocate.
Doc Hollywood is great. I don't enjoy watching people game that often, especially if it's like Fortnite or Rocket League or something. I don't hate those games. It's just like I don't want to watch somebody play it,
Yeah, you need like a distinguished stream like Diablo 2 or Magic the Gathering. It's a good distinguished.
Why don't you share your screen? Share your gaming. Share your gaming. You absolutely can.
Hold on, let me try. Oh, dude, am I a real fucking Twitch streamer now?
Yeah, dude. I mean, we got to do it at least once. All right. So what is this guy? Is he like some kind of like warrior or something? Like
she is an assassin.
She is an assassin.
For assuming that this is a male hero. Well, I don't have potions.
This is actually, Frankster, this is the first time video games have ever been displayed while we are streaming. Ever. And it's going to be less than 5 minutes of it. Because we're going to raid out to Horse. Because none of you decided to use the democracy I'm giving you in this chat to select anyone else.
I feel bad because you're going to see how bad I suck at all video games. Like, I don't think I even deserve to be being viewed at this moment.
Do you think like half the people that game on Twitch are like good or something?
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't watch anybody. I'm just literally making an assumption that like half the people that game on Twitch suck.
Yo, Potato Cat, they don't do that anymore. I think they changed that because when I was like a kid and I played in like the year 2000 or 2001 or whatever, that's what would happen if you would drop all your shit when you died. And I think they changed that. Like it doesn't seem to happen like that anymore. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die.
Oh no, Potato King, I am talking so much shit because I am a really shitty gamer, and maybe one day, maybe one Friday when we don't have like anything going on, I can let you guys like watch me play video games like fucking terribly. But I hope everybody had fun tonight. So we're gonna have chapter 5 starting on what is it? Monday. What fucking days do we stream again? Sunday. Jesus Christ. Sunday. 6 p.m. EST. Sunday. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King,
Birmingham radicals.
Birmingham radicals.
Things are really starting to heat up here down in Birmingham.
Yeah, we'll be back to OBS. $55,000 plus affiliates. I guarantee most gaming streamers on Twitch suck ass. I wouldn't even know how to play any of the new Pokemon games. Maybe we'll let the raid just quietly go, you know, while we're playing. Just not say anything, no lol salam, no nothing. Just quietly like raid
Maybe
out the
concentrate
horse.
on playing because there's people watching me now.
All right. You got 5 seconds. Lol salam. Stay strong out there.
You see you on
See you
whatever,
Sunday.
Wednesday. No, Sunday.
They're gone. All right, end bro.